Jarrell, one of the hosts from the Hood Nerd Network, and you are watching People a Comedy Network. Today is going to be a little bit different. What I am here with is some comedians, so we all kind of did pre-production and was talking, and we wanted to do something here just to reflect on everybody's experiences of what happened here in the Chicago protests and things of that sort. If you are watching this right now, the reason that we're doing this, take this time out to hear these people's stories and share that to somebody who might have a different opinion, somebody who is on the wrong side of history right now. Share this stream and see these people explain their experiences. That way you can get some insight to what these people are feeling. Everything that's going on in America right now as far as race relations and things of that sort is very important to kind of hear these people out and what they have to say. Who I'm with right now, I got Tad Walters here. He's a comedian in Chicago. Say what up to the people.
What's going on, everybody?
I want to start with you first. I want to be able to discuss everything that you kind of went through. I know we were talking a little bit in pre-production. It was very important that I wanted to get you here and speak with you today. Just because I know that you did do the protests here in Chicago. You were arrested. You did go to jail. Can you tell me, well, the big question I want to ask you is, like, when you woke up that day, the day of the first protest, what motivated you to go out there and protest? Like, what was the things, like, because I know when I woke up, I saw what was going on. I watched the news and things like that, and I know emotionally I just had to do something. It was the feeling of wanting to do something and going out there and speaking the truth. So the question to you was just like, what was something that kind of motivated you to, go out there that day?
I mean, it was honestly the same reason. As I was talking a little about before, I woke up that day not even really knowing I'd go to the protest. Our house has been, and my roommates have been very careful about COVID and really trying to restrict, basically trying to get it, try not to get it. And so we've been really careful. And so I was very kind of torn between going out there at all and staying home, because I knew that, like, while yes, I should be wary of COVID, I felt that the fact that I am young, I'm healthy, I'm white, and I'm like fine, like economically, I was like, I feel like I should be doing my part where a lot of people who don't have access to those opportunities and could risk getting COVID to go out. And so I felt obligated because of that to kind of use that privilege I have to go speak or to go act. And I even wasn't intentionally trying to be like in the middle of the protest or get arrested or be that active in it. I just wanted to go out and support. So I started biking downtown. I was kind of following all the news reports.
So you biked all the way down there?
Yeah, I biked all the way down there, and then I actually forgot on the way down there that I didn't have my bike lock. So I was like, oh man, let's just...
Where's your apartment at?
It's like uptown, right off Sheridan Red Line by Holiday Club. And so I biked down there, and I was biking around. I was taking some footage, kind of watching stuff, kind of staying behind, trying to still social distance. And then I ended up behind the Trump Tower protest on the bridge, on Wabash Bridge, which at that time was the last bridge, I think, to be raised. And so they were trying, and there was basically a standstill of the cops there and all the protesters there, and that was where I kind of first got into it.
So what was the vibe like when you went down there? So when you initially went down to the protest,
it was electric, man. Like it's so. I mean, I was telling Justin earlier, like I went down there just to see everything and to show support, and then by the time I got down there, it just it was like passion and like adrenaline and just especially watching how the cops were just interacting with the protesters on the front line.
Yeah, that's not covered enough, because a lot of they were definitely antagonizing people on the front lines, and
it was gross.
Talking shit.
It was fucking disgusting, man. Yeah. And that was really what motivated me. And so when I was on the Trump Bridge specifically, I was in the back. I had my bike with me because I couldn't lock it up, and I wasn't planning on going to the front because I had my bike. And then at one point, the cops would fairly regularly do pushes to try to move the crowd back through the bridge, try to push them off. And in those moments, a lot of people were getting hit, and a lot of these people were really young, really tiny, and they're also people of color. And so what happened was that people started calling for white people to move up to the front. And at this point,
so while the cops were pushing, they told white people to go in the front as a shield.
Exactly.
Wow.
And at that point, I was I was nervous. I was obviously nervous. I wasn't planning on going into the crowd. I mean, I was in the back of the crowd at this point. And then when people kept joining the bridge, the back became the middle became the front. So I wasn't really planning on going to the front. And then that call came, and I was like, this is a a nut up or shut up time, I think, more than any.
So you feel like that moment was like, you know, if I'm here to protest, this is how I do it.
It was
this is my purpose.
It was a very impassioned and adrenaline-fueled call to action, I think. And then I saw another white dude with a bike. We kind of just looked at each other, and I was like, we all kind of looked at each other with our bikes, and we just both went. And we both went with our bikes up to the front. And then very quickly, the crowd just started compressing a lot. And so people are yelling at me to get my bike out of there. And I'd seen a bike before.
Well,
like
what do you mean by
chain.
compressing? You mean like just...
Like, so there's the back of the crowd was pushing up to the front, and the cops were holding their ground. So people were just getting squished, like, on the front line against each other, trying to push the cops back, right? And so people are getting, like, squished against my bike and are, like, hurting. And I hear someone yell, get that bike out of there. And I'd seen someone put a bike up to crowd surf, like, to the back of the crowd. And I was like, fuck it. Like, this is where we're at. So I put my bike up the crowd surf on the crowd, and I just watched it disappear over the West Bridge. And it was like, it was kind of beautiful, not gonna lie. And I was watching it, and I was like, I don't really care that much. You know, there's bigger fish to fry right now. This is way more important. Yeah. And then there's like these two girls next to me, and they're like, oh my god, I'm so sorry about your bike. And I'm like, it's really not that big a deal. And this one dude's like, hey man, like start a GoFundMe after this. And I'm like, I really don't care that much, but I appreciate it.
Like a white dude just being like, hey, my bike was destroyed.
No problem. We have GoFundMe.
Watched it go over, and then from then on out, this is the part that I will remember forever. But it was this combination of officers who, like, when they were interacting with these protesters standing there yelling at them, and some people were trying to, like, actually talk to these cops, right? And, you know, this one chick was like, I know you don't want to be here, and the cop was like, I don't either, you know, like, I don't want to be here either, like, I'm just doing my job. And, like, cops that were definitely showing restraint and, like, you know, as much kindness as I think they can, like, in the situation. But then right next to them, I would see cops that were, like, laughing at protesters getting, like, pushed off the sides of, like, the bridge to the walkway. People that would, like, hit protesters with batons and laugh. And then cops on the horses that were laughing at people. And, like, when they would move, a lot of the cops were, like, hyped for it, man. Yeah. It was like they're, like, in the middle of a football game. And they were, like, wooing and, like, cheering every time they would have to, like, do the forced move and hit people with batons. And that part was just, like, that... I feel like I was already pretty radical before, but that radicalized the fuck out of me, dude. Yeah, I was so angry.
Real, because the reason that we're there is just for equal rights. You know, the unjust murders of everybody. Then you go there and you see these cops just antagonizing you, but they know why we're here. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that takes it to a whole nother level, and it just antagonizes people. So I definitely see what you're saying in that.
Yeah, dude, that was so incredibly frustrating, and that was the side of police that I feel like most people that are ignorant to the police brutality issues and to the issues of white privilege, I think that those moments specifically for me are like, I wish there was a video of this moment, because that's something that I think if my mom, for example, would see, she would be like, oh my God, right? Like that's something that I think if people would see that, specifically of all those police officers and how many of them were actively awful, like... Stuff like that is what needs to be shown right now, because it was so disgraceful. Like, it was so disgusting. And at this point, I was, like, one of a bunch of people kind of holding a line, and I had my back to the cops, because what they were doing is when they would push with batons, they try to get under you so that you lose your footing, and, like, they have the center of gravity, and so they'll push you with that. So what I was doing was I was kind of, like, boxing them out a little bit to where, like, I was getting low and I was sticking my butt out so that when they pushed, they wouldn't be able to push me over. And so I was standing my ground, and I could tell it was frustrating them because they kept saying, like, hit him, and cops would start leaning in and hit my knees and my shins with batons a bunch.
So cops, you was in the front line, these cops were just wailing at you.
Yeah, they just hit me with batons. Luckily, I played contact sports my whole life. I play Quidditch, which, yeah, it's dumb, but it's a contact sport.
Wait, can you just say that one more time?
I play Quidditch. I do. Like,
it's a real sport.
It is a real sport.
Fucking
it's
sport.
Full contact, man. It's like rugby. Like, I played football for, like, almost my entire life. I played Quidditch, and I hurt after Quidditch tournaments way more than I ever after football tournaments, and that's what that felt. I mean, I felt prepared to take that, and it was something that I didn't even realize. I guess I took a baton well until I saw other people, like, getting messed up and like falling and like.
So you were seeing other people that was like getting messed up while you was in the front lines.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. I saw some people getting grabbed, not like every 30 seconds maybe.
Yeah, so because cops were just snatching them and taking them back and they was forming a line, all right there on the bridge, the Donald Trump bridge, or whatever the fuck it's called.
And people are protesting and screaming. We're just holding the line. We're not doing anything. There's really no agitation. Some people threw water bottles. They were instructed to stop by the people leading the protest, mostly because they kept missing and kept just hitting other protesters. They were throwing them super far back. But yeah, like it was overall like, yes, there was yelling. But yeah, the cops were basically picking apart people from the front line every now and then to pull in. And so I was holding the ground. I got hit with the baton a bunch of times. One cop, specifically, this was insane, tried to take a baton and tried to like shove it up my ass. Like when I was standing in the back of him. Like literally tried to ram the baton up my butt.
A cop?
A cop. I swear to God. I swear to God. And I turned around and he's like laughing. Like, because I had my butt out and I was like trying to hold the ground. And like luckily it missed. It hit like my butt cheek. Yeah, so I got a fat ass, but thank God. But yeah, dude, they had tried to like shove it on my he was trying to like
Tad
shove
Walters.
It
I'm a thick bitch, so the cops couldn't get.
Being thick saved my life.
I'm thick as hell. Fuck you, CPD.
I mean, it did help. But yeah, yes, that was insane. And I was
but
like,
what would you like? Jokes aside, like, how would you feel in that moment? Were you like scared?
I wasn't. I was definitely I was angry. I was so angry just at the situation, and then at the fact that they were doing this. Like, I was literally holding ground. We were just holding ground. And then they were just, like, hitting people to get them to collapse to push us back. Like, they were hitting us and pushing us back for no other purpose than so that they could raise the bridge and then protect Trump Tower. Like,
yeah.
I don't give a fuck about Trump Tower, man. Like,
yeah, that was bullshit.
Protect something more worthwhile than Trump fucking Tower. Oh my God.
Yeah,
dude.
when me and James was there, they showed what was important. Like, they had the Chicago theater pretty locked off, and like you said, Donald Trump.
Let's abandon all the small businesses that actually need our help that are getting looted right now. We gotta protect Trump.
Yeah, dude. That really pissed me. So I was just angry at this point, and I was just like trying to be calm, and like it was hot. Had the mask on. I was like, at one point, I think I almost threw up. It was just like I was getting like exhausted from it, like physically, and I was getting hit. And then at one point, a cop punched me in the face, just dead ass punched me in the face. I was back turned. Punch came from like side back right here. Like I had back to the cops. Like there were cops directly behind me. One cop just decks me right in the face.
Walk me through that. So it was just like you was getting pushed or whatever.
I was getting pushed. I was holding ground between the cops were behind me.
And then just out of
nowhere, punch straight to the face. And I remember it because it was not hard. I was like, if you're gonna punch me, like, don't be you're a cop and you're like a child, dude. And so like at that point, I turned around and I was like, "Did you just fucking punch me?" And then at that point, when I turned my head back around, that cop yelled, "Grab him!" And then I had my bike helmet on still from biking around, and so they grabbed me by the holes in my helmet and like pulled me back into like the crowd of cops. If I didn't have that helmet on, I would have gotten fucking brained, dude. Like, yeah, they threw me on the ground. I instantly just like turtled up because I was just really defensive on my back, and they start just wailing on my limbs, trying to get me to like open up.
So even when they threw you to the ground, they still made it a point to assault you. Still.
Yeah, but they were. Proud to say 4 to 6. It was such a blur. They threw me into the crowd. People are like screaming. And they're like hitting my legs, trying to get my legs and my arms down. And then like they finally like grab my arms and legs. They flip me over. At this point, I'm like yelling at them, I'm complying because I'm not trying to get the shit beat out of me. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm complying.
They don't listen when you say that. That makes
they don't listen at all. Yeah. Oh my God, they did.
Oh, you're complying,
yeah. Dude, but this part was especially jarring because there was one cop who was like losing his shit. This was like he was screaming at me, man. He was like, put your fucking hands behind your back, and I'm like, they are already. Like dude's like losing control. It sounds like, and I'm
was you fearful that they were going?
I was just from him. Like the fact of being arrested, I was like, this fine. Like I didn't expect it. Yeah, whatever. But like he was just screaming at me. It made me fearful because he was so angry. He seemed so volatile.
Would you say that? That a lot of these cops that night were out there were enjoying themselves?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I'll talk on that more like when I mentioned what I saw when I was actually arrested. But yeah, absolutely. 110%. But this dude specifically was like screaming at me. He was like, put your hands behind your back. And I'm like, they are already, you have them. And he's like, he has a knee on my back and he's yelling at me to get up. And he's like, get up, get the fuck up. And I'm telling I can't. You're on my back. And then another cop, one of the other arresting officers, starts chiding him. and is like, hey, that's not how we do things. Turn him on his side and help him up. And that's wild to me that another cop had to tell a cop how to arrest somebody.
Hey, man, we don't arrest white people like that.
This guy played lacrosse.
Look, he's a Quidditch player. Come on.
Where is your bike, sir?
But yeah, dude. And so that was.
He's a Hufflepuff.
Can't be out here. Yeah, God damn it. You beat me to it, Justin.
But yeah, this like that was
goddamn
so interesting to me that there was that cop that like had to tell another cop how to like arrest someone properly.
Yeah, that's
and like and to me that spoke volumes to like if they're gonna arrest a goofy looking white Quidditch player like myself like that, like what the hell's gonna happen to some kid that he feels way more threatened by, right? For whatever biases he has.
Or
and
a
so
different
that was
color, you know?
yeah, exactly. And that's really scary to think about. And so from that interaction I get arrested. I calm down. They walk me over to a curb in front of Trump Tower with like 40 to 60 other protesters. And this is interesting, I think, especially when we compare it to Justin's story. Most of these protesters were also like privileged white kids, for sure.
There was a lot of white people that came to that protest that day.
Most of the people that were arrested were people that looked like me. I remember sharing my cell at the end of the night, and there was 5 other white dudes in their mid-20s, like 3 of them from the burbs.
Can you attest to any undercover police? Did you see that while you were down there?
I wasn't looking, honestly. I couldn't tell you, and especially then, it was pretty early on in the protest. I don't think there was a lot of like social media info on like what those would look like yet.
It was still like pretty, yeah.
So I didn't really know to look for them at all. So that really was something I was looking for. But so I got arrested. I'm hanging out with these all other like arrested protesters. We're all zip tied or whatever in front of Trump Tower.
They didn't even have handcuffs. They just zip tied.
Yeah. They zip tied all of us, and they were. This is
Did they put yours on really tight too?
Yes, I was gonna say one hand was stupid tight to where after like an hour I started losing feeling in my hand, and I had to like talk to him and be like, hey man, like. I know I'm arrested, but can you please lose? Like, a bunch of people had this issue because we're sitting there for like 3 hours just on the curb, and there's just cops walking by.
So did they have you loosen it?
So 2 cops denied me, and then one dude, I was like, my hand's like turning. I could tell it's turning red.
How long did it take for that?
2.5 hours.
Oh, okay.
It
took you 2 hours so you could get the feeling back into your hand.
Yeah. So when we're sitting there and we're arrested or whatever, I'm talking to the protesters. There's cops just walking by, especially now that the bridge is getting like cleared and they like finally pushed the bridge off and they raised it. There's cops just like hanging out there, just like chilling, right? And it's insane. They're like high-fiving each other. They're like laughing, having a great time. Dude, I remember thinking that was so stupid. At one point, we're like all just bummed out because we got arrested. And all of a sudden, this lady, I just hear a lady's voice go like, "You guys doing okay? You want some water, some Gatorade?" And I was like, "Oh, that's nice." I look up, she's handing him out to the cops, and I was like, "Yeah, of course." That's it.
So wait, it was a lady just randomly just coming to the police to.
I think she was an officer on a bike. I can't remember, but like I remember just being like, I don't know why I thought they would bring us water and Gatorade, but I was also like, man, it's like a softball game to them, man. Like,
so you got arrested. At this point, when you're telling the story, you're sitting on the curb, you're waiting the paddy wagon, I would suppose, and you get on that paddy wagon, and what was the vibe like from the paddy wagon to the jail?
This is another part to where it really spoke, I think, to the privilege that I get because of my color, and that's the fact that we're on this prison bus. It was a bunch of white kids that were complaining way more than they should have for getting arrested. like there are people that either knew people. I mean, I've known people that have gone to jail. I have family members, that have been through the system. So like, I knew a little bit of what to expect, but man, I remember some girl was offering a cop like $5,000 to let her go. Like, yeah, dude. Like,
please, officer, I only stole one Louis Vuitton bag.
Dude, it was wild, man. Some of these kids just did not know. Like,
they just didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah, they did not sign up for this. And oh man, they're like we're on the bus for $5,000. So we waited
like
outside Trump Tower for like 3 hours. On the curb until the bus came.
So you had to sit on the curb for 3 hours and then get in a paddy wagon.
And they went on the bus, and then they took us to the Western Belmont precinct, and then they had us on the bus I was only on the bus for like 4 hours, but there were people on the bus even longer than I was, because they were taking people out one by one to bring them in and process
them. Do you think you were expedited because you were white and the kid you were around was white?
I think maybe. I don't think...
Was there any kind of order as to how they were taking them out?
It was male and female was all they were calling people out. Like, it was from the front of the bus to the back. And, like, I honestly think there may have been, like, one black person on my bus.
So how long were you there from, like, the time, like, where you got, like, zip cuffs to the time they released you? Like, how long?
So time to zip cuffs was, like, I want to say, like, 5:30 p.m., and then time they released me was, like, 8:30 a.m. the next day.
So they kept you, like, in, like, they weren't even in jail for most of that time. You were, like 8
I was
hours
on
of that.
So I was on the bus until, like, I think midnight, and that was when I took in for processing, and I saw, and they threw me in a cell with some other guys, and they split us up into other cells, and then they took us one by one to, like, interrogation rooms to ask us questions. And this was the fucked up part.
Wait. They took you to
Mirandize you guys?
Yeah, let's fucking.
Yeah, let's slow down. 'Cause you're throwing a lot at us right now.
Yeah.
So you went to jail. My first question before I get into the main
Yeah.
question we thinking. So when you got to jail, were you around mostly and only white people? Or was it a little bit more diverse when you got there?
Mostly white people.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And
like-
then
Did they Mirandize you before they interrogated you?
No.
so
We got nothing.
So they didn't Mirandarize you when you got interrogated.
Yep.
And what was the questions that they were asking when you were interrogated?
So right when I first got there, first thing I said was I want to speak to my lawyer. I want to know what I'm charged with. And the cop told me I'm not gonna need a lawyer, and told me no. And I was like, you can't do that. I was like mad. And I was like, you can't do that.
You don't have any rights, kid.
But
No lawyer for you.
I also have heard and read that if people get arrested, that like cops can sometimes use even conversation as like basically a way to waive like Miranda rights. So I wasn't even making conversation. I was like, I want my lawyer.
Yeah.
So you just took.
But if they don't Mirandize you, that's still not admissible. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
It's not
Like, it's just what
admissible.
I know cops have done in the past to say that they have avoided that.
So how did they treat you in interrogation? Was it a little bit more like?
Honestly, that cop was as nice and respectful, I guess, as a cop could be, but I still didn't fucking like him, especially because he told me I couldn't get an attorney. You know what I mean?
Right. That's
But,
kind
like,
of shady.
And like, I will say I get where he's coming from in the way that a lot of people there, or they said all white protesters, were gonna get released probably the next day. Like I was pretty confident knowing that I would be out the next day or 2 days, right? Just because like they had nothing on us. Like we were all protesters. They had no way to identify outside of writing numbers on some people that were like actively like hit a cop or something. When cops would write numbers on them, if you didn't have a number written on, they were just holding you to hold you. There's nothing they could do. Like there's no case they would have because there's no evidence. I got arrested by 5 different cops. You know what I mean? Like,
I just find it a little weird that from the moment you were taken in and went to jail, you were mostly around white people.
Yeah,
and I feel like that's not a coincidence. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of odd that.
I think it's
I think it was
I
the
agree.
opposite.
When I got to the precinct, I didn't really see any other prisoner. I didn't see any others. I know there were probably more from before we got there, obviously, because it was a jail. But yeah, my bus was the only one I saw that came in, and it was mostly white people. And it was just the people taking at that Trump protest, which had mostly been the white people at the front of the line.
Well, I mean, you went to jail for being a white shield and forming a shield, you know, around people that were really protesting for things that they believe in. You know what I mean? If there's any reason to go to jail, you know what I mean, or any thing that you did, you know, the sacrifice to go there, I mean, that was something that was really dope that you did. You know what I mean? Like, to be able to be in a crowd full of people, knowing the police is definitely on the other side of history, and to be able to come in the front as a shield and to go to jail for that, I commend you. You know what I mean? And that's a really dope, you know, thing that you went through.
Thanks.
You know?
Cool. I appreciate it. But yeah, like that, as I said, felt like the least that I could do, right? I mean, like it's about using my privilege and like the platform I had to like do that. I mean, like that was why I posted on Facebook from the jail bus, is because, especially for me, I'm from Texas. I lived in New Orleans before moving up here. And I have a lot of family, a lot of friends who are still very much like don't acknowledge like systemic racism or white privilege, or are still like all lives matter, blue lives matter types. And so I think it sucks that this is how that they have to get reached to. But I think to see someone that looks like them and someone that they know is a good, kind, fun person like myself get arrested, and like because it's so close to them, I think that makes them start to rethink what their thoughts are. Like when my mom called me after I got out of jail, she was sobbing and she was like, "Why did you do it? Why were you there?" And I was like, and I explained to her why. I was like, because there's injustice in the world, and it's so blatant. And I have friends, especially living in New Orleans, which is like a huge, like it's mostly black city, and so I had so many friends there that just shared with me their injustices and experiences, and then hearing that, Like, and I told her all of this, and I was like, I felt the need to like do something about it.
Right.
And that like, and she was like, I've never really thought about it like that before. And so like, it's going to be a long haul because she has so much just institutionalized racism built into her. But like, those conversations are what I think people like me need to be having with people. It's people that have been on both sides. I grew up white privilege as fuck, and I didn't even know it until college, man. Like, I used to say the N-word in rap songs in high school. Like,
I think what's interesting with your story is that you used that white privilege and acknowledged that you had white privilege and used it as a weapon in one of the most important protests in history, in my opinion. So I think, I commend you to that,
Thanks, man.
But I do want to move on. I do want to get to Justin. Justin, you definitely had a very interesting story when it comes to the protests. I definitely want to get through it all, man. First off, what I want to say is I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're safe. I'm glad nothing bad didn't happen to you, because I honestly, when it came out on social media, I was very worried. I think James can attest to that. I was, calling and everybody was kind of just communicating.
The whole fucking city was alight with worry.
Not even
you.
this. The
Where's
world,
Justin Cosby, baby?
The world was like, "Where's Justin Cosby?" So let's just get it started from the beginning. So Justin, like the same question I asked Tad, like what that morning when you knew that there was going to be a protest 2:00 at the plaza. What motivated, other than the obvious, like what motivated you to go? You know what I mean? Like what was the things that you saw and like, kind of walk people through the emotions that you had getting to the protest?
Like getting to the protest. So I remember I had started like, I didn't start the group, but it was a group chat full of like people who graduated like 2 years after me in high school. And so like they added me to like this big group chat with a bunch of people, like just so we could have like people to be around it during the protest. And so that was like, I had already made up my mind to the protest. I figured it would be better if I just like went with some people. I also went with my friend Matt, who's white. I met him there, and my emotions going down there were like, I was just like, just getting prepared, just like, prepared to make my voice heard. I had like some signs, some like markers for the signs, and I was like giving them out to people who like didn't have one. Just so they could like,
just
have
pass
their voice heard.
around.
Yeah. I had a med kit in my book bag in case like somebody something happened to somebody. Like somebody told me to bring a first aid kit, so I brought that. I had some like water bottles, like just hand out to people. And yeah, that was about it.
So I mean, you went there even thinking about everybody else.
Yeah,
too. Like,
I had a water gun too in case like somebody got like maced or something to like spray in their eyes.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I mean, so you went down there, so now you got the med kit, you got the bottles and everything like that. You get to the protest, like, can you let me know, like, what kind of things that you seen when you were there, like, the vibe? Because Tad said he was there, and it was, like, they were on a bridge.
So I got there, like, right when it started at, like, Daily Plaza. I was, like, right in the midst of it. Like, he was saying that you had been, like, social distancing. I had been social distancing as well, like, up to this point. I had my mask on and everything. Like, my whole, like, face was covered, basically. Except for my eyes, basically. Like I had sunglasses on at some points, like just for the sun and to like avoid doxing. But like my facial recognition software, just like throw it off. And besides that, I just had like this one sign that said that I had this like graphic designer make like on the way there. Like I asked him to write it for me because my handwriting is like so awful.
My handwriting bad too.
If I write this sign, it's like nobody's gonna be able to
my
read
worst fear is to make a sign and it's spelled.
Yeah,
That's my worst
mine
fear.
was like just like somebody sees it, like they see it has a good message, but they're like it looks like it was written by a 5-year-old.
yeah.
So my message was, it said one bad cop plus 999 who covered for him equals 1,000 bad cops. Because that was like in direct reference to how the police had surrounded Derek Chauvin's house, and they were protecting him from all the protesters instead of taking him into custody. Because my sentiment there was that every single cop who protected him instead of taking him down to the precinct and processing him like they would a normal murderer was complacent in George Floyd's murder.
Right.
They're all accomplices.
Absolutely.
And so that was what I wanted to get across, because when you tell cops about bad cops, the first thing they do is they say, oh, I'm not a bad cop, and they're just like dismissive. Like they're like, oh, I've never beat up a black person, so I'm fine.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, well, what about your friends who have, like what about the times where somebody using excessive force and you didn't say anything?
What about the cops that just watched it go down?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Like, it's
like
the cops who watched it go down, the cops who protected him, the cops who didn't charge him,
right.
or like even like not even for like just cases of murder, just like somebody where you see somebody getting beaten for no reason when they're already in handcuffs and you don't do anything about it, like you're complacent in that, you know,
Right.
like you're an accomplice to assault, you're an accomplice to murder. You're like, if you find out that a cop has planted like some drugs or a weapon on somebody, which they've done that to people who even have like 3 strikes, like they'll like run them through the system. They know that they have like 2 strikes and the 3 strikes left. Then they'll plant weapons or drugs on them, get them sent to jail.
Right.
And like if you ever like if you're a cop who knows about that and you're not actively speaking out against it, fighting against it, then you're complacent and you're an oppressor also.
Exactly.
And that was a sentiment that I wanted to express.
Did you
with my
see?
sign.
Did you see when you went there and you had the sign and you were marching? Did you see how the cops were interacting with people? Could you speak on that?
So in Daily Plaza, like we had like the whole street like locked down basically because it was like all the people from the protests were on the street, and then we had like all the car parade that we had met up with. So it was like it was like thousands of people there. And I remember I had my sign and I was like just showing it to cops, like just because like I was like, that's the people who need to see it. Like all these people here, like we all get it if we're here at the protest.
Right.
Like so I was like getting up in like cops' faces and like showing them the poster, like just so they couldn't ignore it. Like some of them were like just looking at it, like they acting like they weren't reading it. And then like other times, like some people like just like basically like chuckle at it, like it was funny or something.
So like when you was having the sign, you saw the cops reacting to your sign and just being dismissive of it. It just How did that make you feel? If you could explain that.
And most of them weren't like bold enough to say anything like out loud. They would just they would just like make a face at it basically. The one I remember one cop even said like, that's a good sign, by the way. That was one cop who was like by Trump Tower. He was telling us like to back up from it while he had like brought like 3 other officers who were like protecting like the elevator on the side of it.
Oh yeah.
In like the little like Riverwalk area, because they were trying to keep us out of there. And he, like while he was doing that, like he was like being like really nice, and he said, "That's a nice sign, by the way." And
Did you believe him?
Thank you. Did I believe him?
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't my handwriting, so I was like, okay, maybe he doesn't.
Come on, Justin. Do you think he was being? Do you think he was being honest?
I think he was trying to like pacify me, definitely, but because like that's like a kind of like a de-escalation tactic, which is what you're supposed to do as a police officer. You're supposed to de-escalate situations. Like
So you just felt like he was going through the motions. I mean, we're trying to
no, because he didn't need to say that. So I kind of felt like I was like, maybe I've gotten through to him, you know, like maybe I've gotten like through to somebody. Like I was like, because that's like what we're out here to do. Like the message that we're out here for is to send a message to the police that what they did in Minneapolis, like we're not gonna allow that in Chicago. Like we're like even like they've killed people before in Chicago, like who are innocent. Yeah. But the thing is, like we're showing out this many people, like showing like this much force, to show them that it's that if you hurt an innocent person, if you kill an innocent person in our city, it's gonna be 1,000 times worse when you actually do it like here. You know, I feel like that was like the message a lot of people wanted to express, like the fact that we want change, the fact that we want people to stop harassing us when we're just like out on the street, when we're just like driving our cars like down the city, and just stuff like that, like just something as simple as those things. So when we were still in Daily Plaza, like people were like chanting around, like surrounding the police and like saying like, we want change, and the cops were like just like trying to like move through the crowds. And like they like really weren't there to like, I didn't like really see a purpose for them like really being there, because they were kind of just like walking around like not really doing anything, because nobody was really doing anything to them, like nobody was like touching them in any way.
Did you see any undercover cops while you were out there?
I didn't know if they were undercover. I didn't know if people were undercover or not. But I know like later on in the night I saw somebody like just walking with like 2 other people behind him, and he like had like a pipe in his hand. He just like bust out of the window like completely unprovoked. Yeah. So I don't know who that was. I don't know who like was starting that.
So the rumor from that, because we was there on the bridge too, and everybody was saying that's not a protester. That's a cop trying to
incite rioting. Yeah. So there were. Like, I think it was to justify the use of like tear gas or mace. Yep. I think that's why they had people doing that too. Because like there was like a police car that was overturned when I saw it, and then there was another police car that was on fire, and I was like,
we saw both of those.
So, really? Like live?
We possibly could have been next to each other, but I just did not see you at all.
I don't know where you guys were for the overturned car, but I was 3 feet away. This is on our first live stream from the day when they flipped the car on Kinsey in front of Harry Carey's.
By the time I saw the car, it was already overturned. Like the windows were all busted out. It was already overturned.
Is that the one they set on fire?
No,
No.
that was a different car.
Because I saw that one.
That one was
I saw
on
the smoke
State
from that
Street,
one.
That one almost blew up.
near the Chicago Theater.
Yeah,
and
that one.
that's the one, by the way, that the guy in the Joker mask set on fire who got caught.
Yeah.
I don't know if you read about that.
No.
Oh, he got caught?
White dude from Pilsen, like 40 years old, real ugly. Fucking set this car
40
on
years old?
fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
He had a Joker mask on. That's the car that he set on fire. The one that we were in front of,
shit.
Jarrell.
Yeah. So like when you was there, when you went to the Trump Tower, you still proceeded from the Trump Tower. You went more towards where that car was overturned on Kinsey.
Yeah,
and that's where you
we
went
started
after
walking back around like towards like River North.
that? And what were you thinking at the time?
'Cause
Were you,
they had shut down the bridges, like when we were on Trump Tower, we were trying to get in. They had shut down the bridges, and like people were saying like, get off the bridges, they're gonna close it, they're gonna lower it. So we walked around all the way to like Lakeshore Drive. We shut down Lakeshore Drive. We were protesting there
Oh,
down
you were at the
Lakeshore
Lakeshore
Drive.
Trail. Okay. All right.
Yeah. That was who I was with. We sat down like on the corner of Lakeshore and Chicago, and we were there for like a good like 20 minutes. So that's why I remember it was Lakeshore and Chicago. We were sitting there like reciting like poetry and stuff, and like that's when I remember I handed out water bottles, and I hadn't even drunk water yet that day. Like I had like barely. I was still thirsty. But I just handed out my water bottles because I was like, somebody probably needs it more if they have like a health condition.
so while you were there, you were just like helping people, giving water, whatever you had, and while you were there on Lakeshore Drive.
Yeah, I didn't have like any food or anything, but I just like.
My question to you is that when you got from Lakeshore Drive, I think that's when everything kind of got a little bit more escalated in a sense.
Yeah, what time was it about when you were on Lakeshore? Was it still bright out?
Yeah, it was still bright. It was like we were there. We probably got there like around 5:30. We probably left around 6:30.
Okay, so yeah,
And
six.
like around 6:30, it was like shit. Like started to hit the fan. Like that was when people like started to like push over like public like this like random van. Like it wasn't a police van or anything. It was just like this like Department of
just
Waste.
some shit on the street.
Yeah, just some shit on the street. Like it wasn't like it was a city owned van. But like I remember I felt kind of bad because like they like broke open the windows and like they took out this one guy's lunch and like just threw it on the ground. Just like, what is the like? Come on, guys! I know like
I know we angry, but
I was just like, come on, dude, that's his food. Like, he's not even a cop. It's like, I felt bad. They vandalized the WGN van. They were like wrote like fuck 12. Like they busted out the windows of that too. They drove the van away. Like I remember like people were cheering when they drove the van away. They couldn't even take the Department of Waste van away because I think they like slashed a tire on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So they just like fucked it up. That was because they wouldn't let us through the Trump Tower on the other side.
Yeah,
So
they're throwing plants and stuff in the street.
yeah, we were trying to get to the other side of Trump Tower so that we would stop getting pushed off. Like we were trying to like link up with the other protesters on Trump Tower on the bridge there where people were getting arrested.
No, where Tad was. I
Yes.
suppose. Mhm.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So you said you got arrested around 5:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I
So
think,
I was on Lakeshore in North in Chicago when that happened.
Mm-hmm. So take me deeper into the protest. Like after you got off Lakeshore Drive, where did you go?
So we went straight down the Magnificent Mile, like on Michigan Avenue, and we marched all the way down there, and we marched all the way through to the water tower. Because we were trying to like take that little intersection through where the water tower is to get around to Trump Tower.
Yeah.
And the police like formed a barricade, and then like they were like the police like had the barricade, and at some point they started like hitting people like who were like near the barricade, and then that's when like people like started like snatching down the barricade basically.
So they made like the barricade, which is like what I suppose like those gates.
Those metal gates.
Yeah. So as people approached, they came back with violence.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Like just like for standing in front of the barricade, and then like that was like when they tried to like pull people over the barricades to like arrest them. That's when people started like pulling people back over the barricades, and we like just pulled the barricades down.
No, wow. So they just oh wow.
Yeah, so people like pulled the barricades down, and then the police like were like macing people, and like that was causing the crowd to like disperse and then like come back because like we would like run away and then like make sure everybody was okay, and then like go back up to like the barricade because like you
still want to just
still
get hurt.
Yeah.
So I mean, did they use any tear gas or anything like that, or just mostly mace and that?
I think they mostly just used mace because I didn't see like any tear gas like clouds.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it was just mace.
No. What did you go after that? Because you saw the mace, mace and everything like that. Did you guys want to go away?
They started macing people, and that was like when the crowd like started to like move down, like back towards like River North.
Yeah.
And so my friend told me like he was coming to the city because he wanted to get footage. I'm a producer in his film Heart of the City,
and
it's about Chicago. It's like about the city of Chicago. It's pretty much about what's happening now. like not just police brutality, but just corruption in the city in general. The synopsis is like that a disgraced private detective who used to be a detective in the city in the police department. He's racing to clear his brother's name amidst the trial of the century, which is like a huge bribery scandal connected to a murder. So like we needed to get this footage, like the people like overturning police cars and like burning them, because we were just like, we need to like get a footage, like we need to get footage of like the state of, like the city of Chicago, like the state that it's in now, because that like that, you know, that the movie was like playing out in front of our very eyes,
Right.
so
Right.
we're like, oh, we got to get this. That's why I didn't leave when everything was going down,
Yeah.
because
You came with good intentions. Like you came
Yeah.
out there passing out water, helping out people. You want to get footage just so you could see the corruption that's going on in Chicago. I mean, that's like the most positive thing I could possibly think of, somebody going to a protest, right? So after you got there, you went to River North. Kind of walk me through where everything kind of went a little left. You know what I mean?
So like around the corner from where the police car was overturned, that was when like the police started to get more aggressive. Like they had blocked off another street on like the other side. I don't know if it was like too far east to be State Street, but I don't know. It might have been Wabash, and Illinois Street, where it's probably like Wabash and Illinois Street, where they had like set up like a barricade, and they were like just like. They had like you couldn't get close, you couldn't get like anywhere near them because they would like mace you if you like came in like within like 6 feet of them, and so like people were like throwing shit at them.
Did they even tell people that they were gonna mace when they got close, or they just like immediately did it?
No, they wouldn't tell people. Then they had like people like riding in on horses, and then like they forced us like down like one street. At this point, like all the bridges were up. I don't even remember. Yeah, I remember me and Jahan and my friend Jahan, who was the writer of Heart of the City. We were in his car along with our friend Don. We were like getting footage and photographs. That's when they photographed me like standing on top of that garbage can that somebody had overturned.
That's where that
iconic picture, bro.
Yeah.
Holy
that was
shit.
That picture really, because they used that picture like when you was in jail, and then everybody was trying to like find you and everything like that. They would use that picture. I was like, holy fuck!
I didn't even know he was gonna take a
is
picture of that when I did it.
It's so good, but yeah, you continue.
I would just the main point was like you're doing it to send a message, you know, because my thing was like we since the LA riots is like the thing I can like think of when I think of like a person getting unjustly killed and then people riot over it and they protest and they riot and then the National Guard gets called in, and then the same thing happened in Minneapolis. Like it was like verbatim or almost like exactly what happened to Rodney King. And so I would like, the reason why I was out there protesting was because I was like, well, I'm not gonna let them like just call the National Guard on every single city in the U.S. and like just not get our voices heard, you know. So like my thing is like we all need to come out and protest because we can't let them just like continue to subjugate us like this, where every time people react negatively towards a negative situation in general, we just get like threatened with guns in our face, you know.
You think if the cops would have been more positive during, you know, the whole protest, things would have got better?
Yeah, I think if they had like been trying to de-escalate situations, they kind of just like let us like just like stay where we were without like trying to push us with batons, like what Tad said, like hit us with batons, like completely unprovoked. Like I remember I had my hands up, and the officer was telling me like, he was like, get back, and I was like, officer, I already have my hands up, like I have there's like 100 people behind me. Where do you want me to move? He was like, I don't care, just get back. And I'm like, officer, give me an actual instruction to where I should get back. And like I was kind of smiling at this point because I'm just like, officer, like where do you want me to go?
Like what are you saying?
Like, I'm just like, officer, like I wanted to tell him like just pull your head out of your ass and like just look behind me, and just like tell me where I should go. And he was like, I don't fucking care, just get back. And then so there was this one guy, there was an officer right next to him who was like hitting people with the batons, and they were like, this guy fucking, like somebody would just yell out from the crowd like, that guy like fucking beat his wife. They were like, just like
statistically there's a chance.
Then the 40%. Then the officer who when they said he beat his wife, he got really mad and he was like, shut the fuck up. And then I was like, oh, you do
pretend you're her.
Yeah. he was like, I was like, oh, you probably do beat your wife because you're getting upset. And then he didn't like that. So the officer right next to him was telling me to get back, and I was like, what about you, man? Do you beat your wife too? He was, I don't have a wife, and I was like, oh, so you can't beat her.
Burning these cops.
just roasting the shit out these cops.
But if you did, I'm sure you would.
Oh man.
No, I mean statistically,
40%.
40%. Anybody watches 40% of cops.
Basically a coin flip away.
It's a coin flip if you're a cop, man.
You don't. You do.
Like, you know what I mean? So
you do, but your wife just doesn't report it.
You know what I mean? But so when you got there and you were going back and forth with the police and stuff like that, did you go anywhere else? Did you go anywhere else?
Yeah, so that was before I went to River North. By the time we got to, we actually were like 2 blocks away from the comedy bar when I got arrested.
God, you were right fucking next to us.
I know. I literally almost ran into the building, and I was like, yo, guys, hide me. Like I
was kind of guarding the comedy bar a little bit.
Yeah, good. I
didn't
get vandalized either because I know it's like a small business, and I was like, I don't want it to like get hurt. So
yeah.
I'm surprised nobody looked at it. I was like nobody, because they did a lot of businesses that was across the street.
They were hitting like Michigan Avenue and shit.
After I think it was like because I got out of there at about 10, and at 10:30 Geno's got hit.
Really?
So they got in there, but
did they break windows or did they just?
I mean, they probably just broke in. But fortunately, they had already moved all the gear to the new location, so like the 3rd floor was safe.
Oh, okay.
So all comedy bar stuff is like fine. Geno's got fucked, but like comedy bar.
Well, Geno's will recover.
Yeah, just for a huge chain.
They'll be fine.
They're all right. They wanted this to happen.
Get this money.
Anyway, so now you're in River North.
Yeah.
Like what's happening in River North?
So we were walking down the street getting footage for the protest still, and it was at this time that like I had just seen like people like on the street like with mace in their eyes, and I had my water gun in my hand, and I was like, "Did you get maced?" And she was like, "Yeah," and like she already had somebody pouring water on her eyes, so I went up to the crowd where they were macing people. And I sprayed water like at the police, so they like because they were wearing helmets. I sprayed water at them so that they couldn't like see where like they were like. I was hoping that they weren't gonna mace people because like they would have water on their helmet or something. I was spraying it at like people in the crowd too, like
just because you saw this girl on the floor macing her eyes. I'm pretty sure she's not just comfortable.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I know
she was no taller than like 5'6". Like she was like not a threat to them at all.
Yeah, but I know she's like in pain because getting maced is not something that's, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So and you did the water gun just to try to defer everything, just so you can kind of protect people, like you were doing the entire day.
Yeah. So that's what I ended up using it for. But it wasn't what I brought it down for at all. And so I like ran across the line. Like I told my friend like where I was gonna go after I did because I was pretty sure they were gonna chase me. I didn't think they were gonna chase me as much as they did though. That's where I got caught because like
wait, so the cops were chasing you specifically?
Yeah,
after you...
because I had sprayed them and like around them, and they like there was this one guy who came out like there was the person who I sprayed. Like actually with water, he wasn't even like a cop. Like it was just like this one random white guy who just like came out and then like I just like
walking his dog.
You know, like, he like came in front of me like with his hands up, like he was like saying something to me. I didn't pay attention to what he was saying. I just started spraying him, and then like I guess that made the police mad because that was when they started like chasing me. Like I don't think
you can't spray white people with water.
Yeah,
it's illegal.
He's white. Get him.
That's Article 13, Title 12.
Yeah. See, the police when I sprayed my water gun at them, it didn't even. I don't think it got wet from it actually. Like I don't think
they're just spraying in their direction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like it was an intentional target. It was just spraying.
I was running across the line like just spraying it, and I didn't actually get it on them. That's the thing. Like I don't think I got the water on them.
Well, God forbid.
And
like
that would justify us knocking you out and taking you to jail.
Well, they say that witches burn when you get them wet. That's probably why.
You son of a bitch! You trying to burn me? So yeah, the main guy that actually sprayed with the water, like it was just this random white guy. When I sprayed him, like he wasn't even mad. He just laughed, and like when they saw me spraying him, that was when they started macing like the whole crowd. We ran like back and like they there was one cop who was like sprinting at me like full speed, like with like he like looked so angry. I knew he was gonna kick my ass if he caught me. So like I
saw the anger.
I took off the anger. Yeah, I took off the other way because I was like fuck. Like I was like, he's gonna kick my ass if again. Plus he had like short hair and a beard on. Like I was like, this guy, he's like like a failed Marine or some shit. Like he just takes some shit.
It's my night to shine.
This guy definitely beats his wife. Like
But no, so like he's hawking you. See, white dude, beard, whatever. He's hawking you down. You're running.
So the police had moved up after they started spraying people with mace, and then like he broke from the line and like started like singling me out. And so like I was like running with the whole crowd, and he stopped out. Like I ran him down like a block. I guess he got gassed, and he like just stopped chasing me. And so I kept on walking down the street. I turned. There was another cop on a bike, and he was like telling me to stop running. And then I was like, "Fuck no," because like whether you like literally,
okay.
I was witnessing this all the time. Like whether you complied with them or not, like they would beat you with batons and take you to jail, whether you did what they said or not. So I was like, I'm not gonna just like comply to them. Like what the fuck?
No.
So I threw my water gun down so I could run faster, and I just like ran them around for like 4 blocks. He was on a bike. I was like still outrunning him. And like that's how I know he was bad.
You still running 4 blocks and they still was trying to
because
like
I was running them in circles. Like I was like jumping over garbage cans and shit to like throw them off.
Hey, Justin, real.
It's fucking Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I wish there was more like free running shit in Chicago. I would definitely gotten away. Because like if it's like a straightaway, like it's not much you can really do except run until you get tired. But I was like they were like chasing me on bikes. And like I was like,
how many
juking
cops
them
would you
around.
say were after you at once?
So at first it was the one cop who chased me like away from the protesters. Then it was like 2 who were on bikes. I ran through this alley, and that's when I like got through like to Gino's. Yeah. And then I cut through like this bank, like that U.S. The Bank of America.
Bank of America.
So
Yeah.
I ran over the curb so they couldn't like ride their bike over the curb.
Yeah.
So they had like garbage cans like blocking off this one street like right on like Grand.
Yep, on Grand.
And LaSalle.
God,
like,
you were right fucking.
You were so close.
I'm so upset that I didn't see you.
Yeah,
I
I felt like I was running for my life. Like I was hoping like protesters would like form like a shield around me or something. I felt like I was like running for my life because I didn't know what they were gonna do when they caught me. And I knew they were gonna be pissed. So
you had to have ran past us and just
I probably did. Like I ran like right around Bank of America.
Was it dark out at this point?
Yes, it was dark out.
Okay.
it was dark out. So
Yeah,
I was like trying to get away. I ran around the block. I ran through an alleyway, and then I briefly like broke sight lines with them when I got around.
Yeah.
Like right in front of like that like fancy restaurant.
Mastro's?
Yeah, Mastro's.
On Dearborn by the post office?
Because that was right where I got arrested at.
Yeah.
And so that was like where I gave up at. Because like I ran around the corner. I tried to like hide behind these 2 people. He saw me instantly. And then there was like this patio that I was like trying to like get around him, but then there were like 3 cops like right on the sidewalk in front of me. So then I was when I just started walking towards him. I was like, okay, I give up, dude. Like I'm too tired. But then like at the last second, like I juked around him, and that's when he like threw me on the ground.
Psych.
I was like, okay, you got me. Like, and then
He was like, guys, I give up. I'm too.
What head fake?
I pump faked him. Yeah.
So when when you juked them and everything like that.
Step back, fadeaway, officer. In your face. Splash in your face.
Look at James Harden. Oh my God.
Trying to do an and one.
Oh, shit.
So now at this point you arrested.
Yeah, so that was when he put his knee on my back.
So did they gently take you to the ground?
Fuck no.
How did they handle
he tackled
you?
me to the ground, and like it was stupid because he kept on telling me to like show me my hands.
Yeah.
And I had my hands like out in front of me because I'm
right.
like if he has me on the ground, I'm like
You're
okay,
up.
dude, you got me. Like I'm not gonna keep like resisting after this. Like you got me. So because like the running thing was just to like avoid capture. Like once I get captured, I'm just like okay, like I'm probably gonna just end up in the system now. So it's better just I don't do anything.
Is that where that picture came from? The picture of them just carrying you?
Yeah. So that was when they like had me like on the ground. I was like really tired from like them chasing me, and I was like they had been like stepping on my legs and shit, and like they had the knee on my back so I could like barely breathe, and like he was like forcing my face into the ground. I had my hands in front of me. He was like, show me your hands. I'm like, I'm showing you my hands. He's like, show me your hands. I'm like, I'm showing you my hands. I turned my hands up. Like, I'm like, officer, like, look, like, I'm showing you my hands. And then, like, that was when he put my left hand behind me. And, like, it's so weird how they don't know how to arrest people because it's like, he put my left hand behind me. And then he said, put your hands behind your back. And he held my right hand on the ground so I couldn't move it. And then told me to put my hands behind my back. And I was like, you're holding my hand in front of me. How am I supposed to move it? And then he was like, put your hands behind your back. And I'm like, officer, like you had contradicting your orders.
It's like they almost use that.
You know that there's a city, I can't remember what it is, that made a rule that when you hire police officers, they can't be have an IQ of over 100, and that's a real thing.
What?
In America, yeah. They purposefully
scams.
do not hire intelligent people to be cops. So
because they don't want them to have free thought, because they don't want to think like, oh,
yeah,
maybe
they
this
want to
is
have
wrong.
an excuse to
Yeah.
do a fucking stupid thing or something. So
Okay.
anyway, so your hand is in front of you and he's yelling at you.
He's yelling at me. And so like that wasn't even the worst of it. Like it was so hard to like keep track of it all. Like they were hitting me with like on the legs with batons. Like
While you're sprawled out on the ground,
so like,
not doing anything.
Yes, while I was already on the ground, like I even like let my body go limp at one point because I didn't want him to like think I was resisting. So I would just just put my hands behind my back, whatever. Right. And then like, but when I was doing that, he was like, stop resisting, and I'm like, I'm literally like the opposite of it. Like I'm dead weight right now. You can literally just put my hands behind my back, zip tie me, and just take me in. He would like if you do that, they will not arrest you like right away. Like you have to like force your hand behind your back so that they can like clearly see that your hands are behind your back. Right. But I didn't want them to think I was reaching for anything either.
Right.
So that's why I waited till like he had his hand on my hand to like move my hand back.
Right.
Because like I didn't want him to think that I was reaching for anything. I was terrified that they were gonna think that I was like gonna reach for something, and like use that as an excuse to like do something, like kill me. Because like I was panicking because he had me on the ground already and he wasn't arresting me. I was like oh fuck, this is like those other videos where I see people aren't resisting and then they just like take it too far. Yeah. And so that was when like they had me on the ground. He was like just scraping my face across the ground, and like he had like that was when I got like this kind of scar right here. Like it's faded like a lot from how it was, but you can like still see the scars from like the zip ties still, from where they put that around.
Yeah,
you can still see that.
So he put the zip tie around me, but he like put it around me so loose that like when they were like carrying me, they were telling me to get up, and like I was just like trying to catch my breath, and they were like get up, like they would kept on like just like barking orders.
Yeah, because they had their knee on your back.
I couldn't even talk because I was so like gassed, like I couldn't even talk.
So real quick, so you say they carried you. Now there's a video that I have queued up for people watching right now. We're gonna play that. You guys won't be able to see it, but they will. You're assumed by the person behind the camera to be unconscious. Were you conscious the whole time, or do you remember being carried away? Or
I remember being carried away. I remember them carrying me at some point, but I think I did pass out because I remember like it was just like dark from where I was. Okay. And at the end of the street, my fan fell out of my zip tie from the way they were carrying me, and like it was so loose. Like when I tell you, like I don't even remember feeling the zip cuffs around me the first time. That like they were just carrying me by my arms. They fell out, and I curled up into a ball. Like when that happened, because I thought they were gonna think I was like resisting again. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So they threw me on the ground, and then that was when they started like hitting me more. Like stepping on my legs and shit, like stepping on my back.
When they put their knee on your back, did you have trouble breathing?
Yeah, I had trouble breathing. Like I was just still focused on like just trying to breathe.
So I'm gonna play this video really quick for the people watching. So this was taken. This was Justin on the corner right after the events he just described here for you.
I've watched this video so many times.
Same, dude.
Yeah.
It's fucking chilling. I can't imagine that, man.
So we're watching. There's at least three police officers carrying you. Now it looks like. When I first saw this video, I thought you were dead. Yeah. Because you were not moving. So there's like 4 or 5 bike cops surrounding you. And I think at some point they drop you. Yeah. Yeah. Do you remember them dropping you?
Yeah, that was in the zip tie. That was when I woke up, I think. That was like my next like fully like clear recollection of memories. Jesus
Christ. So do you remember the guy saying that like he's unconscious and stuff?
I know I couldn't hear anything like outside the police. Like I was just so focused on like just like making sure I was breathing and everything.
Look at these out of shape motherfuckers, dude.
That's just
so
it was even hard watching it not knowing if you were okay. Like watching that as a person that I knew and then just not knowing where you were and seeing that.
All right, they just dropped you.
Yeah, that was when they like took out that. So I don't even remember like how many people were hitting me, because I just remember they were like so like mad at me.
Yep, one of them's kind of going down on you a little bit.
Yeah. So there was one that was restraining me while another officer like he went over, he stepped on my face and like he like just like smiling at me like while I was stepping on my face. He took out his baton, he like rammed it into my head a few times, like he hit me in the head. They were like hitting me in the back, hitting me in the legs. Like
Oh man,
stepping on
someone
my
also
back and
just
legs.
threw a gas grenade back at the cops, and here they go back out to get somebody else.
Good.
So now you're behind the police line.
Yeah.
So what we just saw was about 12 police officers very carelessly handling what is assumed to be an unconscious person, dragging them to behind lines in front of Mastro's, which is Dearborn and I think Illinois Street.
I think,
Yeah, it's in Illinois.
So that's. Would you say that you said you complied?
Yeah.
With every order that they gave you. They even gave you orders that contradicted what you were physically able to do.
That was the first time they had me on the ground. The second time it was even worse because like that was like
there was another time they had you on the ground.
Yeah, so they had me on the ground right in front of Maestro's, and that was when they threw me on the ground like at the end of the street, because like I guess they got tired of carrying me.
Yeah.
That was when they formed like the police like barricade around me, so like people couldn't record, and like if people like got closer to them to record, they would like try to mace them. And so there's only like one video that I know where they're very clearly shown hitting me while I was on the ground, while I was already completely restrained, not complying, like completely complying, not resisting at all.
Right.
They were still hitting me. They were still like just like stepping on me and shit, just like doing like all this shit that I can't even keep track of everything that was happening, because like my face, I couldn't even turn my face. Like they were like forcing my face on the ground, like scraping up against the ground and like stepping on me. When they told me to put my hands behind my back, one officer went in front of me. He stepped on my hand, so I couldn't move it.
So officer stepped on your hand.
Yeah, and the officer still hold things with my right hand right now.
So I think I found it. This is a video I haven't seen. Sorry to interrupt. This is a video I haven't seen yet.
Is it a 9-minute long video?
It is 1 minute and 54 seconds.
Okay, it might be another angle.
It says the quote is "You're stepping on him," which is not a video I've seen yet. So let's see what this is.
I don't think I've seen this.
So this is right. This is after you're behind the lines here. Again, sorry boys that you can't see this, but so there's a clear circle of cops around something, and this is right in front of Mastro's.
So the second time that they dropped you, was it even they still took their anger out on you still even after that?
Yeah,
because that was where they like stepped on your hand and did like all these.
Yeah.
So you could clearly see that they were taking all the anger out just on you, and you're a young guy. Like, let's be honest, all those cops out there that you're seeing on that video right
40,
now,
50 years old,
and
they know better.
And how old are you, Justin?
I'm 19 years old.
You know what I mean? Like that's like they're 40. They know that you're somebody's son.
Yeah.
They know you're somebody's son.
And a lot of people say I look younger than I am too. So
Yeah.
I mean, like I doubt it would have made a difference if I was like 14. Like I doubt they would have. I
don't even think they cared.
Reacted
at that
any
point.
differently. Yeah.
I don't even think they cared. Like to be honest, it's unsettling just listening to this, and it's unsettling even hearing the specifics of what they did to you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And the way I look at it, like when I was in jail, I was thinking about this. I was like, if I sprayed any other group of people with a water gun, and they responded by like beating me and then detaining me and keeping me from my family for 31 plus hours, like that would be like a federal like crime. Yeah. And like there would be like huge outrage over that. The people, I mean there would everybody involved with that would be like taken to jail, literally.
Right.
If that was like any other person by the police, I'm just like, so why is it any different when the police do it?
At any point when you were going through that, did you feel like I might die?
The first time they had me on the ground. The second time, I didn't know what was happening. I was just focused on like hoping they were gonna arrest me, because I didn't know if they were going to or not. That was when they put zip tie on my hand like really, really tightly. I didn't know what they were gonna do to me like once they like got me like in custody and everything. That's what I was kind of worried about too.
Yeah. Did they say anything to you that was disrespectful, or did they just
I remember
action?
Mostly it was like action. Some of them were just saying like "fuck you," like shit like that.
So cops saying "fuck you."
Yeah. So because I remember when I remember when they were walking, when I finally was able to like walk, they had two officers like holding my hands like while I was holding my arms like while I was like in zip cuffs. I better tell this before I start with that. When they surrounded me with the police officers so people couldn't record, they zip tied my legs together. Then they told me to walk, and I was like, how am I supposed to walk if my legs are zip tied together? I don't care, dude, just walk. And I'm just like, this is why people hate you. Like, this is why we're out here right now, because we hate you because you do shit like that. Yeah. And then one of the officers was like, I don't care, man, just walk. And then this other officer came by. He was like, oh wait, no, he's got a point. and he cut the zip tie off. So I'm like, if you fucking know I can't walk with the zip tie, why would you tell me to walk?
Yeah.
And it's like they just do shit like that to like justify like saying like, oh, he's resisting, like, oh, he's not complying with.
And
the
they
orders.
didn't even say shit to the dude that would just like walk. You know what I mean? They're just like, well, whatever. You know what I mean? It just So all right.
So they cut my zip tie off my legs. They took my boot off at some point, and then I was like the officer who was like walking me to the paddy wagon. I was like, can I at least get my boot back? And he was like, nah, man, fuck you. And I was like, okay,
Jesus,
fuck you too, dude. And then he was like, you're just so uneducated. And I was like, actually, officer, I graduated from Blue Ribbon High School with honors. And
he said he told you were uneducated.
Yeah, he just told me I was uneducated. I was like, dude, you don't know shit about me. He's saying I'm uneducated.
Yeah.
He's like, you're so fucking uneducated. And I was like, officer, I actually graduated from Homewood Foster High School with Blue Ribbon High School with honors.
Yeah.
And with a 4.0 GPA. And he was like, I was like, what about your education? And he was like, wait, so you're a suburban kid out here protesting? Why don't you go back to the suburbs? And I'm like, I mean, where are you from? He's like, I'm city born and raised. I'm like, okay, doesn't make a difference.
Yeah. Jesus Christ, man. So you got to the paddy wagon.
I got to the paddy wagon. This is when I noticed. This is like when I first noticed like my adrenaline had like started to go down.
Well, who was around you? Was it like
two of my friends who I came here with, like Donald and Jahan, what I was talking about, they were there. I couldn't hear like anything. Like I was like just like so like focused on like just like the police,
like the anger of what you like. They literally you got assaulted. You had you were in and out.
I was really mad when they picked me up after they had been beating me. Because like it was just so unnecessary. Like I was giving them like what they wanted. They were still hitting me with batons and shit and like stepping on me like just like. You know, just like doing everything they could to disrespect me.
Yeah.
And when they were walking me down, like they were like just like, you know, just like saying shit like just to rile you up basically. Like you're uneducated, like fuck you, dude. You're not getting your boot back, like shit like that.
It's kind of like they wanted you to do something.
I'm just like yo, I don't even have my phone. Like I couldn't even like. When they put me in the back of the paddy wagon, one of the officers like these black officers were like, "Where's your boot, man?" And I was like, "I guess it came off." And they were like, I was like, can you go get it? And they were like, I'll see. And then they put me in the back of the paddy wagon. And around this time was when I was like starting to feel that my blood flow being cut off with my left hand. And it was like swollen up, like just like completely filled with blood. Like it was not going back and forth like at all. Cause like it felt like blood was like just going into my hand and like just getting trapped there. It's like I was like complaining. I was like begging them for like a good 45 minutes, like in a respectful way too. Like I wasn't cursing at them or anything. I was just asking like please like just check on my zip tie, like just please check on my hand because I feel like I'm about to lose my hand. I was like just saying everything I could like just to get them to like you know I wasn't even like the right hand hurt too, but the left hand just hurt so much that I felt like I was gonna lose my hand. So I was like guys, like listen, like if I lose my left hand, that's gonna be a class action lawsuit against the city. Like I don't want that to happen because I want to keep my hand. I'd rather keep my hand than like file a class action lawsuit against the city.
You had to wait 45 minutes.
Yeah,
for the blood in your hand to go back.
The thing was, they took my zip tie off eventually because I was begging. There was another guy in the back of my paddy wagon who was like a med school student, and he was telling me to like keep like flexing my hand and like releasing it to like keep the blood flow. Like if he wasn't there telling me to do it because it hurt to move my hand because of how tight the zip ties were, and so I was in excruciating pain, like just begging them to like loosen the zip tie, and like they were like just like laughing at me, like the officer in front of the paddy wagon, he was just like laughing at me like while he's like just on his phone, like just playing on his phone like on Facebook, and while I was like begging him to like give me some like medical attention. I didn't get any medical attention until like maybe like 30 minutes later at least. Like
wait, I'm still not over this. It was a cop just laughing, just being on his phone.
Yeah, he was on his phone. He was on his phone in front of the paddy in the front of the paddy wagon. They drove us down there like after they got like more people in there. Me and the guy in the back seat, like he could see how bad my hand was, so he was like helping me beg, like it was like helping like me like to get attention from the police, like because we had to like kick at the doors and shit, like just because they were ignoring you, like if you didn't like beg, like if you didn't like really get their attention. So finally they had the EMT come over. They had the EMT check out the guy in the back seat, even though we were begging them to like check me out. And so like they checked him out, like he had like a scrape on his hand or something where there was like blood coming out. Then they checked him out, and then the EMTs like walked away because the police didn't tell them that I had been asking for medical attention. So it took like another like 10 or 15 minutes of like us like yelling at the top of our lungs to have them come back over and check us out. And when the EMTs got there, they were like, "Oh yeah, like that capillary refill is not good." Like the EMTs could see there was a problem there, so that was when they cut off the zip tie, and on my left hand, and so like there was like another 15 minutes that went by before we got into the precinct, and at that point I was just glad that the left hand zip tie. I couldn't think about anything else other than the fact that my hand was like, I was glad that my hand was okay. Because when I finally got into the light of the precinct, like inside the garage, I looked at my fingertips and like they were blue. Like my left hand fingertips were blue from like the lack of the blood flow that was getting to them.
Even after the assault, after the concussion, then they put the zip ties on. Now your hands are blue. So
like I don't even think I was completely thinking straight at that point. Like, I wasn't thinking about anything except like just surviving. They cut my right hand zip tie off, and that was when like even the officer who was ignoring me and like laughing at me was like, "Oh my God, that's like way too tight." Yeah. And I was smiling. I was like, "Yeah, sir." It's almost like I wasn't making it up or something. Yeah. And like he just cut it off, and he was like, "Yeah, like that's like really tight." And I was like, "Oh yeah, it's almost like you should take people's like medical attention, like please, seriously." Yeah.
So did the EMTs they were
the EMTs like cut off the one on my left hand. I was like begging to cut off the one on my left hand. The one on the right hand hurt, but it didn't hurt as bad as the one on the left hand did. But like there's still marks on them both that you can probably still see. Like this one still hurts from when the officer stepped on my hand. Like if I hold something in this hand for too long, it like goes numb basically.
Yeah. So you have undiagnosed nerve damage, I'm assuming.
I think so. I think there's like slight nerve damage because it's like I don't think it should be swollen.
What side of your hand hurts?
X-rays. The back hand.
Okay.
The back side of my hand hurts because of how long the officer stood on it and like the zip tie.
Oh, so this wasn't like a quick just step back.
Yeah, no. He was standing on it for like a good like 5 minutes. I think. I don't know. I don't know if it was 5 minutes. Like I don't know how long it was.
But it was just a long time.
And then putting the zip tie around it right after did not help. So.
Yeah, shit, dude. So I'm trying to get into your mental state when you was there, like when you was by the EMTs. Like by the time you went to that paddy wagon, like your feeling was just like I'm in danger, just being around these cops and being detained by them. Like it was just that feeling that was coming out.
Yeah, like I was happy that I was finally getting processed, so that I wouldn't have the zip ties on my hand anymore.
Wow.
But I was more nervous about what was gonna come after I got released. I don't know how long I had never been arrested before. So it's my first time ever getting arrested. I didn't know what to expect. I was more worried about ending up like what happened with Ferguson protesters, where they said that people had committed suicide.
Exactly.
So this is actually why, like, this is like you guys are finding this out. Like, this is actually why people couldn't. They were saying that I didn't exist, was because I gave them a fake name because I didn't want them to kill me. The thing was that the police still knew I was like. This is like jumping forward a little bit. The police still knew I was there. Because everybody outside the precinct, they knew my face, like, cause like I was saying, the officer was on Facebook. They were on like their social media, like just using shit, like using the internet, so they could see
like, oh, this is Justin. Let me go look him up.
I don't know. I just know they were on their phones, like they were laughing and like talking while people were still waiting to be processed. And
but I just think the
thing was after I got released, the police officers said Justin Cosby has been released. Like to the people who I called afterwards, somebody had told me they said Justin Cosby has been released after I got out. So they knew I was there. They were just keeping me there because like I guess I don't know if it was because I used a fake name or just because like there had been like so much like outcry on social media.
Yeah.
So did you use a fake name when you were in there?
Yes.
Yeah, he used a fake name. But and to be honest with you, after everything he'd been through, being assaulted,
totally get it.
Officer stepping on his hand, he's right.
Straight. I don't think I was thinking straight because I wasn't thinking about like people like coming to look for me. I didn't know.
Right.
I was hoping that I was just gonna get out in like 12 hours, and I was gonna tell my mom or something that I was like at a friend's house. That I just like ended up spending the night. I was gonna just tell her my phone broke or something, and I was at a friend's house.
After all of that
because I didn't know it was gonna happen. Like I was like people were saying like you're probably gonna be out like in 12 hours. Like that's what other people had been arrested before and were telling me. And like obviously that wasn't the case.
When would you say the cops knew you were who you are? When did they know your name?
Because a lot of people was calling asking.
They didn't tell me they knew my name. But I know they did.
When did you say your name to them?
I didn't, because I didn't know what was happening outside.
Okay.
Yeah, there was no way he knew like the social.
I was
stuff.
asking for like my lawyer and shit, who I would have told my real name.
Yeah.
How did you know that they knew? If they weren't telling you, like, did you like see it, like when they would come in and look at you or something?
I didn't know until afterwards because somebody who had called the precinct, they told them that Justin Cosby was released, and because my parents had filed like a missing persons report at like 10:30, and I got released at like 3 a.m. I think it's because of the missing persons report.
So there's another clip I'm going to play for the people watching. It's the calls that went out from folks trying to find you. And it's kind of, even if the cops, assuming the cops knew who you were, because they clearly did when they released you and said that they knew you were released without you even telling them your name.
Yeah.
This is the kind of response that folks were getting when they called our government, the people in charge of our lives.
Justin Cosby.
Justin Gagey?
Oh, yeah.
It's a Justin
The
Cosby.
UFC guy?
It's going to be a Justin
He's in
Cosby.
Chicago? Where did he come from? When did he come?
It's going to be a Justin
This is a government
Cosby.
official talking to someone trying to find a missing person.
Bill Cosby?
Have you seen him at all?
Dude, fuck this guy.
I haven't seen anything. I'm sitting at a desk.
Has anybody heard any word of him at all? Or anything?
I don't know. You could find someone else, call someone else, because I don't know anything about that stuff. All I do is
But
answer
aren't you
phone.
a police force or...
All I do is answer the phone, this fucking guy says. Well, you answered the phone pretty poorly, I would say.
Fucking trying to do bits.
So
Jesus
there's,
Christ.
he's legit at a fucking open mic at work right now.
Yeah, he's cracking jokes. I know some other ones said that I was like locked in a basement, like telling jokes.
So this is another one.
Dumbass calls. We're looking for a child.
Yeah, I don't want you to talk.
This is another call in for Justin.
15 police, Rafe. How may I help you?
Where's Justin Cosby?
Up your ass.
Where's Justin Cosby?
That was the precinct that you were at, and people were calling. And how does that make you feel seeing that?
I mean, it makes me pretty angry because like the last time people saw me was like when I looked like I was unconscious.
Yeah.
And because at some point I was, and it makes me feel like really.
Does it make you feel like a fucking human being? Being treated like that?
I mean, that's not how you treat a human being. There's somebody calling for a human being, you know.
It's like that. It's like the thing about it is like I feel like they weren't even like really trying to look for me truly, even though people were calling, because their first instinct was just like people were just trying to fuck with them, but they weren't thinking about like anybody using a fake name. But like my mom told me that the police knew that people were using aliases, so they knew people were using aliases, like not just me. They knew that people were using aliases, but they like, I don't know, they just.
But they clearly knew
Yeah.
that you were Justin Cosby
Yes, definitely.
when
They
you were
definitely-
released, because they said to people Justin Cosby has been
Yeah.
released.
Well, so my question is, like, they printed you too, right?
Yeah, so they printed me,
So when-
and
How long when you got printed until you were let out?
I got
do you
printed
think?
at like 9 or 10 a.m. and I got let out at like 3 a.m. the next day.
Jesus.
Right.
Right.
And Tad, how long did you stay in jail?
I was in jail total 15 hours. That was from being arrested at the
They-
protest to getting out 15 hours. 3
They-
hours after I got printed, I was let out.
They did my prints twice.
That's
Because
fucking insane.
They took my photo at the precinct. They did my prints, and then at 11 o'clock, after like 10:30, after they made my missing person, like this is what I found out afterwards. My parents made the missing persons report around like 10:30 p.m. because they said you had to wait like 24 hours from when they were last seen. They made my missing persons report, and then I was banging on my door, like in my jail cell, because like I was panicking because like the person I had come in with had been let out. The white kid that they put in for like 3 or 4 hours came in and got let out before I even like got my phone call or anything.
Yeah, that was the weirdest thing that we were discussing. Is like, wouldn't you get a phone call?
You didn't
Yeah.
talk to anybody. You were held without contact for
Yeah.
31 hours,
Yeah, so
which
I didn't.
has to be illegal.
I didn't get. They said they can hold you for without a phone call for 48 hours. I mean, no, they said they can hold you without seeing a lawyer or a phone call for 48 hours.
Seriously.
Yeah, and they said that they could hold you without Mirandizing you or like having evidence to hold you for 72 hours.
That's true.
Which was basically just like a scare tactic that they told me for no. They had no reason for telling me that.
So
but
did they interrogate you too? Like
they didn't. They did not interrogate me. They didn't ask me any questions like about like why I was arrested or anything while I was there.
They just left you.
Yeah, they just left me in the cell. And so
did you get to eat or drink?
I was asking for food when they put me in the cell like around 9 or 10 a.m. So they put me in one holding cell. I was there like handcuffed to a bench for like about 12 hours. Then I was in another holding cell for like.
You were handcuffed to a bench for 12 hours?
Yeah, so I was there from like the time I got in the precinct from about like 9:40 to
inside or outside a cell on this bench.
So it was like with 8 other people inside the cell.
Yeah.
But it was like an open door, and then there was like another door on the side that was closed.
Okay.
So it was a cell.
Sure.
But it was like just.
Was anyone else handcuffed to anything?
Handcuffs. Yeah, they had like some other people handcuffed. Some
Okay.
people weren't, but some like most of the people were.
Okay.
We were there from about 9:30 p.m., 9:45 p.m. to maybe 10 p.m. I don't know exactly when I got, because there were no clocks to tell time on. They didn't put any clocks in view of.
Were there
detainees.
windows or anything?
No, there were no windows to like tell how bright outside it was. I remember when I got into my last holding cell, I was put in 3 different holding cells. The first one I was in for like 12 hours. The second one I was in for like 1 to 2 hours. That before they did my fingerprints and my I was asking them for food before they right when they were putting me in the first, like right after my photos and prints. I was asking them for food. I told them I'm a vegetarian, and they were like, we only got the turkey bologna sandwiches. And I was like, okay, then I kind of just got like a few slices of bread or something. Like I haven't eaten in a while. And I remember like at like 10 a.m. the officer came back. He was like, yeah, man, sure, I got you. And then like he just never came back. And
so you didn't eat. You just said,
yeah,
hey, I just
so
want a few slices of bread,
Christ.
and he just never came back.
I was just asking for like 2 slices. Like they kept on coming back. They came back at like 5 o'clock to let people out. I was like, can I please get something to eat? They came back and yelled some names. I was like, can I please get some food? And then they just kept on walking back, like ignoring me. Like 6 o'clock they came back to let the other guy out. When they were like, letting him out, I didn't even ask to be let. I was like, can I please like get some food, please? They ignored me again. Around 11 o'clock when I got let out to do my fingerprints and photos again, I was like, I already did my photos and fingerprints. Why am I doing them again? He was like, I don't know. We can't find them. They didn't give me any explanation to why my photos and prints like mysteriously disappeared.
So either they're incompetent or they're fucking with you. Those are the only 2 options.
Yeah, I think the reason why they deleted them, honestly, I don't know how to prove that, but I think they deleted my photo so that they couldn't, like, people couldn't like look up the arrest database to see that I was there. Because I was wearing the same thing that I was wearing when I was arrested.
Yeah.
I was wearing the same thing. My hair looked exactly the same. I remember my brother even said, like, he had just done my hair, like, the day before. He's like, oh, man, it's going to be fucked up when he gets out. Like, I know it's not going to see
That is crazy though, but it's like.
So,
were you able to take a shit or a piss or like anything?
So they had like they had a toilet in the cell with me when I was in there with another guy. We had to like just pee in front of each other. Like, we just like wouldn't look,
Sure.
obviously.
Yeah.
Like we had water because there was a sink in there.
So you can only get water from the sink.
Yeah. So I was asking them for like a bottle of water at first, and they were like, "Man, you got a water fountain right there." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Like I didn't know we were supposed to drink out of that because I'd never been to jail before.
Mm-hmm. It's not intuitive either. Like it doesn't look like a water fountain or a sink. It's like it's like a weird
I didn't even know the water in there was safe to drink. Like so.
Prison water.
Yeah. I didn't do it. I didn't have water the whole time.
COVID out
here.
Yeah.
I did not have
I was nervous
COVID
about when I
time.
was drinking from it. I was like, fuck. Like I was like,
still COVID.
But at that point, I hadn't had any water to drink, and like I told you, I passed my water bottles away to other protesters when we were like sitting down on Lakeshore Drive. So I hadn't had any water since like maybe like noon of Saturday.
Jesus.
And by then it was like so noon of Saturday, and then I hadn't had any water since like noon of the last day. So I hadn't had any water in like 21 hours, like almost 24
They were just
hours, like,
starving you, dude.
Yeah. So
starving you.
Like in the first holding cell, like you didn't have any access to water. Like there was no like sink or anything to even drink out of. So like if you asked for water or food, they would just like ignore you, and like there was nothing you could really do about it. At one point, I got to use the bathroom, like, because I asked like every single officer who came in if I could use the bathroom, like for like 3 hours straight. If I could use the bathroom, they kept on telling me to like find my arresting officer, and it's like I couldn't find my arresting officer because it's not like the officer. Like for one thing, he was on my back, So, and it's not like I knew my arresting officer's face or anything. Like, it's not like they threw you on the ground and the officer was like, by the way, my badge number's 4, asshole.
Add me on Facebook.
And there were like 12 of them too. Like,
I seen your comedy; it's pretty good. Yeah, so it's like they were giving you, like, whenever you asked for like anything like food, water, use the bathroom in the first holding cell, they would just like tell you like just like a bullshit claim, just like find your arresting officer. They told me that when I was asking for the zip tie to be taken off, they were like, your arresting officer isn't here. And I was like, is there any rule against your arresting officer?
Yeah, aren't you fucking the same thing?
Exactly. So I was telling him, I was like, is there any rule against that? He didn't answer at first. I asked him that like three more times, and he was like, okay, no. And I was like, so why can't you do it? He was like,
fucking asshole.
I was like, so why can't you do it? And he was like, it's just better for me if I don't. And I'm like, why? Like, I was like, if I have to file a class action lawsuit because you make me lose my hand because it's not a blood flow that gets to it, how is that better for you? How is that better for anybody?
Yeah, right.
And he just like he just got out of the literally just got out of the car and just walked around the front.
What a fucking
something like ask your dad type shit. I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't do it. Ask your father.
Go
ask your father.
Go ask your
I'll
dad.
get in trouble. Fuck
You
that.
ask
man.
dad. Go ask your mother. Like, I just asked them both.
Like you say, I'm gonna go to the bathroom. Ask your arresting officer. Like, what the fuck
yeah.
is he
It's
gotta
like, what is
do?
elementary school? Like,
Yeah, like.
and it's like I'm already in zip cuffs. And now it's like they act like you're gonna bust out of the
Yeah,
precinct,
where
like,
are you
like
gonna
a,
go?
Like a one-man army.
Fuck's
Like,
sake.
you guys have fucking tasers and guns. Like you guys are afraid of one kid. You guys I was telling them, even though when they took my zip ties off, I was like, if it makes you feel comfortable, like get 3 or 4 of your buddies, like, because they were out there like just talking to each other, not doing anything. I was like, you can get them and like hold them me while you take the zip tie off. Like, I'm not gonna run or anything. I just want the zip tie off because I'm afraid about my hand. And that was when he was like ignoring me. So back to like when I was in the cell, I was like banging on the cell. I didn't start banging on the cell door until about like 6 o'clock or 5 or 6 o'clock, like asking for like a lawyer and shit.
That is,
asking
so
like,
at
a
that
phone
time, that's
call.
when you were like kind of weird.
I was really
everybody's
scared because
getting
they
out.
were selling, they were like, because the first night, overnight, they were saying that people who went to county were gonna get taken like early in the morning. I didn't get taken that off that bus, obviously, like because they had, so I knew I wasn't going to county. But then the next morning they took me, they kept me in there. I was like starting to get really paranoid because I was like, this is like, are they gonna take me to county or some shit, like for what?
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like banging on the door. They were just ignoring me. Like, they were coming back and yelling for people's names.
Yeah, because county jail, that's intense to go to. For anybody that don't know, like, that's the jail.
That's
like, you know what I mean?
jail,
Like, that's jail. You know what I mean?
And
So that would be fucked up if, yeah.
But at least you get 3 meals a day in county. Like,
Right, they at least feed you.
Shit, you right.
You're right.
You're right. They just throw you in the cell. You don't get to shower or anything. Like,
You know what I mean?
yeah, like, I smelled like shit by the time I got out there.
I
could've
believe it.
I saw you on Instagram. I was like,
Poor
man.
mom. Have to get her car interior redone, probably.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you say you was in the cell. You start banging on the door.
Yeah, so I was banging on the door. That was going to let me out for my fingerprints and photos. Again, they threw me back in the cell. I said, how long until I get let out again? Until I get let out? Cause like, and they were like, probably about another hour. I was doing my best to stay up for like another hour, but they did not come back. They completely forgot about me. I fell asleep at some point, even though I was really trying hard not to. And they came back and they finally like let me out, like after I was banging for like a good like hour, maybe like hour and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yo, please don't forget about me. I was like yelling like my fake name out. Like, I was like, I knew they had my fingerprints and photos under that name, and I didn't want to tell them like my real name at that point because like I was like, I don't want to get charged with obstruction and like be hit like for longer.
All right.
So I was like just trying to get out because I knew they had like dropped it down to disorderly conduct at this point. So I was like, it's like an ordinance violation, which is like the lowest thing that's not gonna affect anything at all.
Mm-hmm. It's not like it's gonna go on the record.
Yeah, it's not really gonna go on the record or anything. At this point, it was like 3 a.m. when they let me out. So they had a curfew at like 8 o'clock, and they let me out with one boot on, no phone, and I got a phone call like at 11 o'clock. And at that point, I still didn't even know my parents knew where I was. So I was just trying to call my phone so I could like find out if somebody had picked it up.
Mm-hmm.
And it just went straight to voicemail, and I was like, fuck. So I went back to the cell, and I was gonna like ask for like another phone call so I could just cut my losses and like just call my parents because I didn't know they had like, you know, I'm only 19, so I was like just hoping my parents weren't gonna find out basically.
Yeah.
It's like my grandma specifically told me, Justin, please get out of the city because I don't have any money to bail you out of jail. And so I was like, okay.
And the last thing you want to do is like, hey,
'Cause
grandma.
She worries about me so much anyway that I was like, I don't want to give her a reason to like actually worry about me.
Of course, yeah, I get it.
So, like, I was like really just trying to like get out as fast as I could to like just, like, you know, make people like, I don't want them to worry about me too much. And so they let me out at like 3 a.m. I went across the street. There was a lawyer with like snacks and water set up. I was talking to him because I knew he wasn't with the police because he had snacks and water, and I was like, oh yeah, the police wouldn't do this.
They wouldn't give me water.
they're nowhere near this nice unless it's like poison or something. So they told me to like go across the street, get my belongings, which was like all it has like with this like other hood, like that was like detached from my hoodie. They told me to get that, and then I came back over. He asked me for my name. I was like, Justin Cosby, and he said, oh my God, you're Justin Cosby, the famous comedian. I was like, famous?
Whoa.
Oh God!
So I didn't know.
See, guys, this is what it takes. You got to get the shit kicked out of you by the cops to make it anywhere in comedy.
That's all it takes to make it in comedy, guys.
Could you imagine getting out of a cell for 30 hours? They'd be like, oh, you're the famous comedian Justin Cosby.
No, yeah, because Bill Burr texted me, actually. Yeah.
The fuck out of here.
And I was like, holy shit, like this dude's funny as shit.
Yeah, could you please
Netflix special out?
Could you
hit me up?
So when did you know this shit blew up on social media? Because right now you got out of jail, you figuring things out. Like this, I find it so funny to me because it's like,
dude,
and he went like right to Insta, right? Like with his brother in the car. Because I was on that, I saw that.
So my brother had given the lawyer his number. The lawyer didn't have my brother's number saved because he had gotten like 1,000 numbers that day. So he showed me a brother's number. I didn't know my brother's number by heart, or else I would have called him in the precinct. But it was like something like 517. I was like, okay, yeah, his middle three digits are 517. So I was like, yeah, that's him. So I knew that. And so I called him, and like my brother was like, Justin, what? Justin? And I was like, yeah. He was like, bro, you're famous. And I was like, bro, what? No, I'm not. And he was like, bro, dude, you're famous now. And I was like, bro, no, I'm not.
You're famous now.
I was like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you're just like bullshitting me. He was like, dude, like your name is everywhere. And I was like, what? And I thought he was exaggerating. And then like he showed me like celebrities like were like posting me and shit. And like there was the thing that I like when I first like started to like see was when he showed me Twitter, and he said it was a hashtag Justin Cosby with like 90,000 tweets on it.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck.
People from all over.
Like, all I could think was like, so my parents like definitely know I was written off.
If you're watching,
we were in the back of my parents' car at this point.
So this is right after Justin got out. This is a video of him and his brother on IG just getting love from everybody. And there's Jarrell, love bro. Like everyone was fucking in this chat when you got out.
Yeah.
People donating money and all that shit. It was a celebration. Like,
then I put the wrong Cash App at first. And then I had to put another story post with my real Cash App because I left like the number 1 on it. And like then it made me really mad because like it took me like a week or two to get to this DM, but it was like this one guy. He was like my mood or something, and he was like fuck you, Justin. You're using this situation to profit off of your for your own game. And I'm like people were asking me to put my Cash App in the thing so they could like buy me Wendy's or some shit. Like
people thought I was made a GoFundMe to just make money off of it.
Yeah.
Which is understandable too, because like some people out there are pieces of shit.
I definitely like reposted that so people like know it was legit, but like it took me like a minute to get around to doing that.
Well, you were the busiest boy on earth.
I didn't know. I was like trying to like answer all these phone calls.
Beyonce's trying to talk to you and shit, for fuck's sake.
And I wish I had my phone up. She probably called me or some shit. Like, you gonna go to the next Lemonade tour or something?
But Beyonce retweeted. I'm like, the world knows.
Yeah.
The Beehive knows Justin Cosby.
Yeah. So like, I was like, holy shit! Like the gays, like. They're like, like I was like, if they're looking for me, like I'm gonna get found. Like I was like, they're gonna ride for me. Like,
you're found.
Like the gay community is like on this. Like I'm in good hands.
Give you a Queer Eye episode.
Yeah.
Your house and shit.
Because the thing of it is that video looked so bad.
Yeah.
That we all collectively like. please not Justin Cosby.
Dude,
like, you know what I mean?
mean?
I legit cried for like a second because I was like, holy shit, Justin is dead.
You know what I mean? Because it's like when the guy was holding the phone was saying he was unconscious, like anybody that was watching that was just like.
And then the way they okay, so that's another reason they knew I was Justin Cosby was because my friend was yelling, "That's Justin Cosby!" while they were taking. He was like, "That's Justin Cosby."
In the second one, yeah.
That is Justin Justin Cosby. That's his name, everybody. Justin Cosby. And so like that's how people like knew my name and everything. And so like they had no excuse to like say they didn't know my name, even though I used it. Cause I didn't hear him saying my name. Otherwise, I would have used my real name because I would have just like been like, okay, they probably know who I am.
Do you think the cops knew who you were?
You know, I was just gonna ask that.
They had to know who I was. Everybody in Chicago knew who I was.
Screaming your name while you were getting arrested,
Yes.
and you were kind of a big deal in that van because of all the cops around you.
Yeah.
I would think that the report that they would file with your specific vehicle would be Justin Cosby's in here.
Yeah.
Or even the fact that they got so many calls and didn't feel due diligence enough to just walk in and be like, "Are any of y'all Justin Cosby?" Yeah.
That was another thing.
How the fuck did that happen?
That never fucking happened because
Insane.
if they came back and said we're looking for Justin Cosby, I would have said my name in a fucking heartbeat. I was like, yes, I'm Justin Cosby. Yes.
Just walking in. Hey, Beyonce's looking for a Justin Cosby. That's me.
Oh my god, dude,
But
that's wild.
But like that was the big thing.
And the thing was, they took my fake name off the list like several times because like they had like a guy like with I bonds out. I was like, yo, is my fake name back there? And he was like, I don't see it. And then they were like, I don't have your name on this list.
But your mom came up
Justin
there.
Cosby wasn't there either, like on the list either. So it's like, my mom was like coming back there. They like wanted a lawyer to like go back there and like call my name out, and they didn't let them do any of that. So like, even give me a chance to like.
So the cops obstructed even that process of it.
Yeah.
That's insane, dude. I mean, your story was definitely something that like all of us, because like when we went to the protest,
I gotta say, by 11 o'clock on Sunday night, I forgot to mention that they did give me food by 11 o'clock on Sunday night because I had been banging on the door. So 11 o'clock on Sunday night, I told him I was like, I'm a vegetarian. Can I just get like a few slices of bread? He was like, yeah, sure, man. Here you go. I asked for 4 and he gave me 5, and I was just thinking like, oh, thanks, man. But my thing, and back in my head, I was like, this is the least you can fucking do, ass.
You wait, 25, 26 hours after you're arrested, they finally give you bread. Man. Fuck that.
Like that's what it boiled down to. Like that's where like I was saying like it felt like my human rights were being violated because like it took me like 27 hours of begging for food for them to give me like slices of bread, and I was like, what is this, like 17th century Europe? Like
that whole process violated your human rights.
Yeah, dude.
That whole process, dude. So my question to you is like, where are you at mentally now? Like mental health wise, because you obviously been through some shit. You know what I mean? You could even just like you said, you went back and saw the videos of everything that went down. You know what I mean? You personally went through this. So like, how do you feel now? How do you feel like you're gonna move forward?
There's some people who don't even know who like if it's still asking like if I'm okay. So I'm trying to like stay on top of that and like make sure everybody knows I'm okay. I don't want like to like feel like drag it out longer than it should be. Like that was like the first thing that I wanted to do. Like when I got back on social media was like I went through like DMs telling people I was okay. I went through like everybody think like I got on my Instagram live too, my own live, and I was kind of mad at my brother because he deleted the live that I had like with 40,000 views. I was like, dude, like that's like I was kind of like caught up in like 15 minutes of fame too. Because I was like 40,000 views, holy shit! Like I never 40,000. Like it was at that when we deleted it. We deleted it for like legal reasons because like I hadn't said anything about like why I was arrested at that point. Nor would it matter because like what I did to get arrested and how they treated me after I was arrested and during my arrest were two completely different things. So that's why we deleted it because we didn't want like the CPD to come after me. Even though like they already knew it was my Instagram account at that point. So.
I mean, honestly, from the story that you told, the way they treated you and the way they physically assaulted you, I would give a fake name too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because like we know the things that happen to people with cops. You know that it's easy just to drive a cop car down there and circle around with your mom at. Like you didn't do anything wrong, Justin. In my eyes, you didn't do anything.
You were out there protesting.
I felt stupid. I felt stupid. I mean, I was telling myself like if I got arrested for protesting, I was probably gonna give them a fake name. Because like people have been getting doxxed and like their addresses getting leaked like after they got arrested, which is supposed to be like a confidential record. Like if you have like their address on file, that's why I gave them like a fake address. Because I was like I live with my grandparents in the city. I'm like I don't want anything to happen to them. Like God forbid that. Like I just wanted to like my thing was like I was like lying more to protect them too, because I don't want anything like happen with them, because if I gave them their address, like I don't want anything to, like them to be harassed. I'm like God forbid, like if it does fall back on me, like I hope it just falls back on me, like not them too.
Right.
So that was like the main reason why I was lying too.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
So I live with them.
No, that's completely understandable, dude, man.
Absolutely.
So you feel like your comedy's gonna change now?
I mean, probably not. Like, I mean, I'm being honest, no.
What an honest man.
No, he's dead ass.
Look, man, you got a good type 5, you hold it, all right?
So you don't feel like creatively is gonna just like, you know, I'm still just gonna be me, and I'm just gonna, you know, keep on keeping on. Is that where I'm like kind of getting at?
Huh?
Like, do you feel like as far as your comedy is like, I'm just not gonna change it? You know what I mean? I'm just gonna keep.
I'm gonna do some time about you know, the 31 hours I was there, and the, like, because you know, some of it from like an objective standpoint, it's like if you like joke about it, it's kind of funny, like just I don't know, it's like kind of think about it now. But oh yeah, one thing that I wanted to say, like, was that this another officer, like a separate officer from the first one who called me uneducated, another one was saying like, you're just so uneducated, like, because like they just look at you, see you're black, and they're just like, you're uneducated. I'm just like, I'm an officer, like. I told them again, I was an officer. I graduated from Blue Ribbon High School with honors. Like, what about you? Like, do you have a bachelor's degree? And he got silent, and I was like, do you have an associate's degree? And he just turned his head. He's like, you just shut up. Just
became a cop, you know.
He was like, what? You know.
These cops are dumb. Like, I don't think people highlight that enough.
They're dumb and they're assholes, man.
They're just dumb.
They don't know the law, and they think that like passing that through the academy gets them like a free like.
Absolutely.
Like they think it gets them like a free pass to interpret the law however they want. The thing is, like, how long are they even in the academy for?
6 weeks.
6 weeks, like
Just 6 weeks.
That's all it takes.
6 weeks of doing my job running food at the comedy bar. I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
You know, like six weeks of training. Like you don't know the law after that. You can't possibly study like something as big as the way the law is written in the United States. Like, you can't possibly know that well. You can't possibly study somebody's rights that well in 6 weeks. So the fact that they like act like they, I remember this one officer who was like looking at the precinct. I was telling them, like, I was like, you know, like putting zip cuffs around somebody's hand and like denying the medical care is a violation of their rights. She was like, now's the time to be talking about that. And I was like, any time is time to be talking about that, because no matter what situation you're in, you always have rights. And she was like, well, you got me there. And I was like, I fucking know, duh. I didn't say that, but I was like, all I wanted to hear. That's what I said to her. I was like, that's all I wanted to hear.
Dude, I had cops that loved trying to talk to me, man. Like one of the detention aid people was like, he wanted to be friends. He's like taking my prints, and he goes, man, you're real lucky you didn't copy me with the other protesters, you know, the bad ones. I was like, what do you mean the bad ones? He's all, yeah, the ones looting and stuff.
The black
and I was
ones.
like, yeah, right. And I was just like, oh, the one, like, what do you mean by that? He goes, yeah, man, they're like burned down mom and pop places. I was like, oh yeah, like Macy's, a big mom and pop store. Yeah, everyone's real fucking sad about that one.
They got the Gucci store.
When we were getting taken on the jail bus, there was a cop filming us on his phone, being like, look at all these beautiful beauty pageant contestants. It's like a beauty pageant as we're being led onto the bus. Dude's fucking filming us, making fun of us.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, it's just, it's insane how actual, there's just no empathy. There's no, there's no sensibility behind it all.
That's the main thing there. Like, there were people like, I remember at some point in my time there was a guy having a seizure. And like there was a guy banging on the cell, like he could see somebody from another cell having a seizure. And like when we all started banging on the cell, like we were trying to help the guy who was having a seizure out. That's like where like you have to give like detainees their humanity, because like no matter what we were there for, like we started different society. Like we were just banging on the door trying to help everybody else out who was there with us. Right. And it's like we were all banging on the door. A cop came back there. She looked around a few cells. She was like, I don't see anybody having a seizure. She just like walked away. But then I found out later on that there's somebody actually did carry her having a seizure. Somebody actually was having a seizure.
Wow.
Jesus, man.
So she just like looked back there and just said, I don't think we're having a seizure. And she just walked away.
It's so immoral. It's so fucking immoral, all of it.
So do you think, from those experiences, I mean, honestly, when I went to the protest, and I know you guys went deeper into it, I just lost so much faith in the police system.
Tons.
Like, just being face to face with them, seeing how they engage people, seeing what they do to people, just young people like Justin, just seeing what they do to a young guy like you, knowing that you're somebody's son, and making him go through that entire process. It's just like I just.
But
don't
Jarrell, he sprayed them with water.
He's dangerous.
A small amount of water.
Oh my God!
So the police beat you with batons? They subjugated you to
over water.
They subjugated you and well, I did spray them with water. But like, oh, okay, you sprayed them with water.
While the police were macing people, they were just like, oh, this water, Jesus Christ. So
yeah,
it's a tough thing, and yeah, like I was saying, I mean, just mental health wise, I mean, just speaking with you, man, you are still in good spirits, man. I can still see that in you, and I can say for everyone, just like I said at the top, we are glad that you're safe. We're glad that you're
This
home.
town loves you, man. Absolutely, dude.
I can't say that enough, man. Like when I first see you, I wanted to hug you, but I was like, oh, COVID. So
Yeah, same.
But do you have any like last remarks, anything that you guys want to say?
I just want to give like one last thank you to James, of course, for arranging like the GoFundMe, because like that's gonna be like a huge like driving force in like what I'm gonna do like with my activism going forward. Definitely gonna like probably arrange some protests, but with that money, like making sure like there's like gonna be like ways to like bail people out, and
hell yeah, dude.
I'm gonna get a car and like be driving people home after they get arrested too, because like this is only the beginning, dude. Like the fact that this is still happening, like somebody in Atlanta was just shot while running from the police a few days ago. Like the fact that this has been going on for so long, like, and like they're like, for all the names that we say, like that we make into a hashtag, there's probably 100 that never even get that much attention.
It just was never recorded.
Because you know what they do, like sometimes they'll like plant like guns on you, they'll plant like weapons on you, they'll say that like he was charging at you, and it's like not all this stuff is recorded. So the thing is, like, people will try to diminish the amount of people who are being killed by the police unjustly, like the amount of black people are being killed by the police. Like there's two sides to it. One of them is like, it's like somebody said only 9 black people were killed by the police last year on 9 innocent, which is a fucking lie. But it's like even if that is true, it's like even one is too many. Like, it's like just those many people who are protecting us, like and then the other side of that is like people will say, well, what happens to white people too? And I'm like, oh, like yes, no, you should be mad about it too if it happens to your race too. Yeah. Like this is a problem for everybody. Like we say Black Lives Matter because it happens at a heavily disproportionate rate.
I mean, it's focused more on
black people, of course. Like we definitely get like the worst of it, but you know, like just because people are saying like Black Lives Matter, like that doesn't mean that it's not like still a police brutality issue. Like, and it's not just a police brutality; it's like systematic racism issue too. Systemic racism too. It's about like funding for schools. It's about treatment in the healthcare system. Like, there's been like reports about how people have like less empathy for black people on like a subconscious level to the point where like they deny them medical care, like because they think we're just like exaggerating, we're just making it up. And so like that's what Black Lives Matter means too. It's like it's not just about police brutality. It's about how we're seen in general, about how we're seen as thugs, about how we're seen as about how stories about us are written versus how stories about white kids are written. Because it's like if it was like a story about like a white kid just like spraying like cops with water at a 19-year-old white kid, I'm just like they probably just been like, oh, he just like a kid like having fun or some shit, like, you know, just like fucking around, like to have some prank. And that's how they would see it. But because I was black, they probably saw like this is a fucking thug, we gotta fucking get this kid off the streets.
Like the president tweeted, like,
like, when the looting starts, the shooting starts. Like, dude, what the fuck?
The president called you a thug. Like you were gone.
And it's not even like I was looting. Like I wasn't there to loot. I wasn't there to like incite violence. I was literally just there to like stop them from like macing people because like it was unjust.
You're just trying to help somebody, like you did early in that morning, passing out water bottles, doing things like that. So my last remarks are just like thank you to everybody who donated to my GoFundMe. I hope I didn't like keep information from you guys for too long about like why exactly I was arrested, because like I hope nobody like feels like I wasn't like completely transparent about everything. That's part of the reason why I did the podcast, because I want everybody to know exactly, like, people are donating money to me. I'm like, you should know exactly like what happened leading up to this, like just in all fairness. And, but even then, you've been through so much.
Yeah,
it's okay. And take some time.
I don't think the money is like just for me either. Like going back to like the GoFundMe, like it's not just for me. It's for my family because they went through a lot of stress too. Yes. I want it for them because you know they deserve it. Like they were out there like making sure I was okay. Like if my brother wasn't at the precinct to give the lawyer his number, I don't know how I would have gotten home. Like I like they don't have like any resources to help. Like the police do not have any resources to help you get home. Like just care. We are looking out for another human being. That's why when I was in the precinct and like I was like questioning them on like how they were treating other detainees. That like one officer was like, just mind your own business. And I was like, human rights, everybody's business, dude. And he was just like, dude, whatever. I'm like, you the cops, like you guys are getting each other business when like somebody else is like threatening them or something, right? He was like, yeah. And I'm like, it's the same thing for us. Like, it's not any different just because you have a badge.
Yeah, we're fucking people.
Yeah. The thing is, like, the cops, like, they think that just because they have a badge that they're somehow like above the law. But the thing is, like, you're supposed to uphold the law. You're supposed to be held to a higher standard of justice, not a lesser one. It's not like just because you're wearing a badge doesn't mean that you're not still like able to be found guilty of assault. Yeah. You know, like, you can justify it any way you want to, but at the end of the day, if you're getting a group of people together and you're beating them unjustly when they're already like complying with you, when they're already you know, just on the ground, can't defend themselves, what does that make you if you're hitting somebody who can't defend themselves? It makes you a thug, you know. Like that's literally gang behavior. And so I want the police to understand that. And
well, unfortunately, most of them aren't intelligent enough to understand
pretty
much anything.
They're still going to justify it any way you want. They're still going to be like, well, you sprayed us with water, so we can do whatever you want to you. And it's like, you know, they can say like, oh, yeah, we're heroes. And it's like, I mean, like, what were you doing? What were you doing in the height of the COVID-19 pandemic then if you're such a hero? You know?
Yeah. Something I just want to hit on real quick because I think it's super important is that especially going forward for a lot of people watching this now, especially people that have people in their lives that are not on the right side of history right now. Like, if you aren't out actively doing protest or like actively giving support, whether that's monetarily or volunteering to any organizations that are helping people's lives, you need to be at the very least putting in the emotional labor to have really hard conversations with people around you. Because we're on the right side of history, but like it doesn't change by that. So like whether that's comics, musicians, artists, like we are the tastemakers. You know, Jackie Robinson played baseball 20 years before like integration actually happened, right? Like, we are the culture trendsetters, and we need to make sure that we're telling people like what they're doing wrong and having these hard conversations. Because having an argument with your mom or dad about why Black Lives Matter is so hard, but it's way harder for Black dads and moms to see their kids killed in the streets. Like, and that's what it is. So like, you could be doing more, plain and simple. I could be doing more, and we all could. But like, now's the time. Absolutely.
Yeah. Because we just have so many recent examples, because we have so many past examples. Like, honestly, like, part of the reason why I had a water gun, like, it was symbolic for me because Tamir Rice would have graduated high school this year. Like, I have so many friends who are in the class of 2020 that like I would be heartbroken if something happened to them. And so he was 12 years old with a fucking toy gun, and police shot him dead. And I just gotta say, like my water gun was very clearly a toy. Like, don't get me wrong, it was white, green, and orange, and it said Nerf on the side of it. So it was very clearly a toy. And like, my thing is like that I wanted to like get across, like a toy shouldn't be a death sentence, you know.
All right.
And I just want to say, like, this, like, the Black Lives Matter, like, let's not reduce it to like to just George Floyd. And we still need to get justice for Breonna Taylor. Like, we've done great leaps and bounds getting justice for George Floyd, but we still need to be out here talking about Breonna Taylor because her murders have still not been arrested yet. Yeah. And so we still got to do our absolute damnedest. Along with it's still happening because like people in Atlanta,
this
like,
happened
the guy in Atlanta, I don't even know his name. Like, it's still hard to keep track of. That's what's outrageous about it.
That's what's fucked up.
I can't even keep track of all the names because there's just so many. I can only name like a few videos where it's like that really spoke to me, which was like, I know Austin Sterling was definitely one of them because like his hands were just like in the air, and they just kept on telling him to like put his hands up, and like they're already up, and they just shot him dead. And I'm just like, that stuff gets to you as a black person, you know. Like, you can't, I mean, it should get to you as any color, you know. Like, you can't look at that as a sane, rational person and think like, I don't know, like you just can't look at that and just like go about your life just not thinking about that again, you know. That's why I was out there protesting, because I'm just like, if I don't stand up for everybody else, if I don't stand up for people when it's happening around me, when I see it happening to other people, who's going to be there to stand up for me?
No, that's real. That's 100% real. I'm kind of speechless after that, honestly. Definitely that's where you should keep going into activism. Honestly, with all these murders that's happening, like it's hard to see that and not get emotional over it. I think just through this conversation, like all those feelings just riling back up. You know what I mean? I can see that's clear with everybody in this room. So, again, if you are watching this video, if you're watching this right now, share it to your friends that might have a different opinion so they can see these beautiful people's story. And they can and it's a clear decision when you watch it, from what they've been through and what they just been vulnerable and expressed to themselves. Definitely like this and share this on People with Comedy. I want to thank you, James, for letting us have this discussion.
It's my pleasure, dude.
And definitely, in the bio, they'll have everybody's, socials. So, if you want to send a message or anything to these people. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully we don't have to do this again. Have this conversation. You know what I mean?
Right.
Hopefully we don't have to do this again.
Yeah, I was really hoping I was going to get famous off like comedy or something, but
Still not gonna book you, Justin. Gotta keep hitting the mic.
Sahar still said she owes me a guest spot, so I hope that's like a launching point.
Sahar, come on, dude.
I mean, she probably,
Give him a guest spot on a weekday.
Give him a guest
When
spot.
he comes back.
Justin deserves
5
a
minutes
guest spot.
max.
Tomato
okay?
throw show.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, we'll let you.
I might fight somebody to throw a tomato at this thing.
Well, yeah. Well, you can't do it now because you'll win by default. Because no one wants to hurt you.
Yo, he gonna make
You
bank.
are banned from the tomato throw show for the rest of your life.
3 whole minutes about
of your
going
life.
to jail.
At
No one throws
least-
a single one.
At least 5 years so people can stop feeling bad for you. Fuck's sake.
Oh man, but thank you guys so much. I've been Jarrell Scott Barnes. Thank you, Tad Walter,
Thank you,
Justin
Jarrell. Thank you,
Cosby.
James.
We'll be back.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely.
Tomato throw show.